Yeah, it's that day, so that means we got to start off Friday with this.
Come on, man. Go for it, dude.
It's Friday. Friday. Friday.
Freestyle Friday. We're stacked, packed, and racked, and everybody's everybody's hovering over the airport trying to land a plane. We're not going to waste any time. Lucas, Panzica, 104.5. The Zone's going to come in a sec, talk Nashville. Maybe we'll catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring at the bottom of the hour. Ross Smith, Apple TV, joining us at 10. Will Palaszczuk, voice of Charlotte FC, is going to be joining us at 10:30. So that means, since it's his time, we announced him first. It's time to catch up with our buddy Lucas Panzica, find out what in the wide world of sports is going on in Nashville. So, what is going on in the wide world of sports in Nashville, sir?
Well, the Preds are still struggling. The Titans are bottoming out, and Nashville SC is pushing for another trophy. So the boys in gold are this shining beacon of light right now in Music City, John. Right now, at the moment, the only good thing that's uplifting Nashville sports fans. So, big time of year.
Let it be soccer. By the way, how would you proclaim yourself as a cook, sir?
I'd say it's my only hobby outside of sports.
Okay.
For sure.
Because you were teasing pasta dishes on your socials, and those of us who are pasta freaks sat there and looked at it and went, "Damn, that's not fair." So what is your best pasta dish that you make when you're sitting there and you're just messing around at home and you're just like, "Yeah, I got some stuff here in the cupboard." What's your go-to when you're at home and you want to just make a big old plate of pasta for just you and nobody else?
I mean, that's the thing, man. It's so much easier than people want it. People want to give me credit for it, and I just want to give it back because it's just a simple tomato sauce, man. That's all you need. All you need, a little bit of passata or maybe some tomato paste with pasta water, garlic, basil, maybe some chili flakes and salt, and that's it. That's all you need. My favorite pasta to make of all time is an amatriciana, but hard to find good guanciale around here.
Oh, all right, well, dial that back. That's what are we talking about here? What is that?
Amatriciana. So it's just a guanciale, which is the cheek, right? It's the cheek of the pork. It's got that great fat that you just let it sweat a little bit. You cook the tomato sauce in the fat of the pork that you've just cooked. And that's literally it. That's all there is to it. I promise you. People tell me like I need to start doing those reels, right? Where you like, you just cut after cut of here's how you do it. Here's this step and this step and this step. And now I almost want to show that like, hey man, it's not that hard. You just need 2 to 3 ingredients and boom, you're good to go.
Wow. That's a bit mind-blowing. Yeah, we're going to have to either go to a place in Nashville next time I see you that's got good pasta, or you're just going to have to make it, and I'll pay you like $9 gazillion.
That works.
Okay.
That works. I'm down.
Just checking. I'm a pasta dude. So that's why I was asking. I saw it, and I was instantly sitting there going, oh, man, I got to have some pasta. Okay. I actually did bring you on here to talk about soccer. I know that might shock some folks, but if this series coming up for Nashville goes to its end, and it's a best of 3, you will have played, meaning Nashville in the collective, you will have played Messi and friends 4 straight matches. How weird is that prospect? And a lot of folks that we've been talking to are kind of like, well, if anybody's going to ding Messi and friends, it might be Nashville in a 3-game set.
Yeah, right. At this point, this will be, if I'm not mistaken off the top of my head, the 18th meeting between Nashville and Miami. Obviously, both came into the league at the exact same time. So Nashville has officially played Miami as many times as any other opponent they've ever played. And it will be the most amount of times after this first game going into the second game. It's unusual, right? To a potential, essentially 4-game series. It doesn't really happen in this sport. Nashville has had some knockdown, drag-out battles with Miami. Like, it's developed into this pretty organic rivalry just with the amount of competitions, John. Like, we're talking at this point about MLS regular season, MLS Cup playoffs, Leagues Cup, CONCACAF Champions Cup, U.S. Open Cup. There's no other competitions that they could play each other in. And somehow, in the span of like 2 years, they've managed to face off in all of those. So you got to think Nashville's due at some point. They have yet to beat Miami. It was very heavily leaned towards Nashville in the early years when Miami was a disaster. And Nashville, to its credit, established a pretty high floor out of the gates in its MLS existence. But since Messi came into the picture, Nashville has not been on the winning side against Inter Miami. This is as good an opportunity as any. And you come off that 5-2 loss on decision day, but there's a lot of context to that game where There were opportunities to be had in the first half that Nashville did not take advantage of. Game could have been totally different. It wasn't. And then you allowed Messi and company to take over in the second half. So a lot of lessons to be taken from that decision day fixture and applied to a potential 3-game series.
I was going to ask about it. So obviously you're reading my notes. It was 5-2 final on decision day for those that were focused on other games. Messi scores in the 35th. Surge scores in the 43rd to bring things even. Schaffelberg scores at 45 plus 6. And then in the second half, it was just pedaled down by the folks in pink. What you mentioned all of this, of the context and everything, and missed chances. What was it in the second 45 that was the big difference there in this one, where it's 2-1 and then it finishes 5-2?
Yeah, it's just Miami taking control. It's Nashville losing possession in its own half far too often, and Miami constantly making them pay. I have to say, personally, in terms of what I have seen with my own eyes, it's the best 45 minutes I've ever seen from an MLS side, with Lionel Messi working in conjunction with Rodrigo de Paul and Sergio Busquets and Palaszczuk Segovia coming off the bench. All these names that Atlanta fans are well versed with by now as well.
Yeah.
But it really, you couldn't help but think about that first half. One-on-one opportunities that Hani Mukhtar was unable to take advantage of, that Sam Surridge was unable to take advantage of. Nashville had 12 shots to Miami's 4 in that first 45, 6 shots on target in the first half. They had 1 shot on target in the entire second half. So unable to capitalize. They weren't clinical enough in that first 45, and they paid for it in the second half. It's the kind of game where Miami's going to hurt you, right? Like, you're not going to win the game 2-0. It's going to be, especially with these two teams that like to go forward, it's going to be a high-scoring affair. So you have to be able to take advantage of those chances in front of goal. Nashville didn't do that last Saturday, and they're going to try to do that, and they've been good all season, John, about compartmentalizing and not letting one result turn into another, and another. And now they got to go into this weekend with a pretty fresh slate, but also a pretty good familiarity with Miami.
Yeah, you look at the starting 11 you had last time out. It was America's favorite 1980s villain, Joe Willis. In that, I figure with that handlebar mustache, the only thing missing is like the top hat and maybe twirling it on the edges. Lovitz, Zimmerman, Mayer, and Andy Nahar, Mouil, Yazbek, and Eddie Togset. Then it was Schaffelberg, Surridge, and Mukhtar. No changes that you're thinking about, any knocks or anything anybody needs to know about?
No, Schaffelberg came off a lot earlier than anticipated in that game, but BJ Callahan said yesterday he's full go, which is a good matchup for Nashville on that right side. I think any winger that will bomb forward with the pace and energy of a Jacob Schaffelberg, you feel good about that situation opposite Jordi Alba, right, who's so often getting forward and maybe not doing as much tracking back. Although I will say the recovery defending for Miami was really good last Saturday. This is a Miami team, I will add, that is engaged, man. They want to win a title. They want the cup. They are not lackadaisical whatsoever. And Nashville knows that. And so they got to go on the road this Friday with a different mentality than they carried for 90 minutes at home last weekend. And they've talked about that. Eddie Taxett talked about that yesterday at the media availability. But yes, I would expect the lineup. I don't have any information on this, don't know for sure, but I'd expect it to look pretty similar. I think Nashville wants to go out with that 11 that has brought them a lot of success this weekend and just play their game because they did that against Miami on the road back in July, and it was a 2-1 loss. 2 very preventable goals. You can see the free kick at the top of the box that Messi scores, and Joe Willis makes a rare mistake passing out of the back that Messi pounces on, and you leave losing 2-1, but also taking some confidence from that. It didn't really carry over last Saturday, not taking advantage of those chances that were presented, and we'll see if it'll carry over a little bit this weekend.
Another couple of minutes here with Lucas Panzica, who's given us the intel on Nashville as they get ready for Messi and friends in a best-of-3 series here in the Eastern Conference. Who has, in the relationship with Surridge and Hani Mukhtar, has Surridge made Mukhtar better? Has Mukhtar made Surridge better? Or are they both sitting there and just, hands over the shoulders, and it's just like, yeah, we're going forward as a group? Has one made the other better and drawn more out of the other player, you think?
Oh, man, it's a great question. I don't want to cop out, but I really think it's that third option that you said. Sam Surridge managed to score 15 goals in all competitions last year, having next to no service, right? And then BJ Callahan coming in didn't have any preconceived notions this year of, no, I want to play with this shape. This is what we're going to do. He looked first from top to bottom, starting with Sam Surridge. How do we maximize his strengths? And he looked back at what Sam did in his most successful season with Bournemouth. And that was a 2-striker system at the top that brought out the best in Sam Surridge. And so that kind of was the beginnings of the 4-2-2-2 shape with Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surridge leading the line. And it's just been this balance of one taking pressure off the other, Hani Mukhtar teeing up Sam being there for those back post crosses. And when there is that space for Hani, he'll take advantage of it and score. And he's got double-digit goals, double-digit assists, while Sam has been an MVP finalist. So, I don't want to cop out and take the easy answer, but I really think it's a pretty even share there, John, that they have been so mutually beneficial this year as the second most productive goal-scoring duo in MLS.
What's it like having Walker back on the back line?
Oh, it's big for sure. I mean, just from a leadership standpoint, there has been some, interchangeability there with Walker Zimmerman, Jason Palacios, and Jack Mayer. It was Walker and Jack last time out. That's been a pretty consistent competition. Walker obviously is one of the best aerial defenders in Major League Soccer. He's a threat on set pieces, but you also have to balance the athleticism of Jason Palacios and recovery defending, in Miami being the best transitional team in Major League Soccer. There are some strengths and weaknesses there to balance out. So I'll be curious to see what BJ Callahan does this Friday, but there's no questioning Walker's, importance to this team, wearing the captain's band and what he's meant as a foundational piece of this club.
I will admit that Walker and Jack sounds like something that you get on the front on the weekends. I would also imagine that when you're going up against Messi and friends, the idea that coming into it, say something happens offensively with Miami, they lose it, they're instantly having to defend with 8. It's 10v8 going back the other way. I'm thinking that there are going to be some opportunities, especially on the wings. You mentioned how Jordi Alba likes to come forward. There's that space that's created in behind when he does come forward, chasing after things on the wings. This one, to me, this series could be one of the more high-scoring series in this opening round just because of the opportunities presented to Nashville where you have to be clinical.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't have to tell you guys that, the series can be there for the taking. And we talked to BJ yesterday about Atlanta's win over Miami last year, about the context of how they lost that first game in Miami, came back and won games 2 and 3. Nashville has studied that. They studied Vancouver's victory over Miami in CONCACAF Champions Cup over 2 legs. So they know that there are opportunities to be had there. Miami is going to concede chances. It's just part of what they do. Can Nashville capitalize? Can they be clinical? Sam Surridge, Hani Mukhtar, whoever else gets that opportunity in front of goal, because that was the key last Saturday. And it's not that complicated, right? Miami's not going to change the way that they play. They are who they are, and they're going to do the same things. And in a lot of ways, Nashville, it's the same. So it's going to be a pretty similar blueprint, John. For Nashville, I think it's about finding that balance of when to kind of spell possession a little longer and get organized, and when to bomb forward, understanding the vulnerabilities that could come with that against this side. But to your point, yes, I don't expect this to be a lot of 2-1, 1-0 matchups here in games 1 and 2. I think it's going to be high-flying stuff, exciting soccer, and 2 teams that are desperately pushing for a trophy because there's a legitimate belief in both buildings that they can hoist MLS Cup.
Yeah, Messi and friends right now heading into this first matchup, they're a -189 in the juice boxes. Looking at totals, 3.5 is a -109 in the composite. 4 is where it flips, basically 3 3/4, +154 for 4, and then +4.5 tonight is a +210. All right, for folks that want to pay attention to everything going on that you guys do to make sure that we are all educated on the hashtag everyone, and hit the promo for me, sir.
So I'm actually not on the call tonight. I've got a high school football broadcast. I know you know that life. Yeah, I've got a Friday Night Rivals going on this Friday. My colleague Will Bowling will be on the call on 104.5 The Zone. I'll be back at it next Saturday for the home fixture at Geodis Park. So as always, you can watch on Apple TV, and you've got the option to listen to the home radio broadcast. I know Atlanta fans utilize that option routinely with Mike Conti and the guys. So looking forward to it, man. It's like we're used to it at this point. It's been 2 years, so the like shine of, oh my God, Messi is here. We're not like showing up to every game, just everybody looking around in wonderment, right? But you still take a moment to appreciate what you're watching and the opportunity in front of Nashville here to do something that not many expect them to do globally, while at the same time appreciating the greatness of Lionel Messi and a couple of guys that we'll be seeing for really the last stretch of their career here in Busquets and Alba. So I think we can do both, right? We can value the opportunity for Nashville and this belief that they have to go and beat Miami, but also appreciate what we're witnessing, that it seems like we're going to be witnessing for another few more years in MLS.
Yeah, he signed the contract yesterday in front of that banner at Freedom Park. I'll be knocking on your door before game 2. As always, my friend, great to grab hold of you and find out what's going on, get the vibe before game 1 of this big series. Thanks for dropping by on a Friday.
Anytime, John. Appreciate it.
There goes Lucas Panzica. He's going to go make some really large. See, now, if Lucas made a big pasta dish for breakfast, that would be epic. Pasta for breakfast. That would be absolutely amazing. And so our resident chef outside of our footprint. See, now, if we got Nick and Lucas in one place and we had like a cook-off, that would be pretty sweet. If we had Nick and Lucas, we had two guys diving into pasta dishes in a kitchen, that would feed like thousands of people, and it would be maybe like $12.04 to make the whole thing, and it would be absolutely amazing. But yeah, if you follow Lucas on socials, he'll draw. He had this big old cooker going on his surface unit, and I'm like, man, I'm instantly hungry. That's why I had to go down that road and look at things when it came to Lucas and his cooking. So that is Lucas Panzica, 104.5 The Zone. He's doing high school duty tonight. I can relate. And so we'll have that going on. So once again, remember, Ross Smith, Apple TV, is going to be joining us at 10 o'clock. And Will Palaszczuk, the play-by-play voice for Charlotte, is going to be joining us coming up at 10:30 to break down everything that's going on from the Charlotte perspective as they get ready for their series. All the things. So that's what we're staring at today. So very, very busy day. We do have, obviously, some news. We're probably going to go long past 11:05 because we've got to talk about Sheffield Wednesday. We've got to talk about MLS Next Pro playoffs. We've got to talk about MLS juice boxes on the weekend. We've got to talk about the Premier League. We've got to talk about what happened in Europa and Europa Conference League yesterday. Any other news that drifts by before we get out of here. So anticipate going past 11:05 this morning, and we'll get everything ready for the weekend, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, all the things. U.S. Women's National Team, they ended up taking it on the chin last night. First time I think that Portugal has scored a goal. And obviously the first time I think that they have beaten the women's national team in the modern era. But, what are your takeaways in this one? Celebration for Alex Morgan last night in that particular thing. I don't know if you saw Abby Wambach dumping the Gatorade bucket of the pink headbands on Alex Morgan when she was standing at the adult table getting the Q&A session. So it was a fun night to honor Alex Morgan as everything came full circle for her from that first appearance at PPL back in 2010. That's what they called it then. So 15 years later, you have the big celebration for Alex Morgan. But the U.S. Women's National Team take it on the chin. Get some stuff, some thoughts from Emma Hayes in general coming back as we discuss that as well. So that's the morning as we know it. And obviously always trying to catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring and find out what's going on with them. So it is all good there. And if, let's see, so Greg has, and Greg is touring the planet. That much we do know. Because once again, you follow Greg and you find out what's going on with him. And literally he is making sure that the young Garzas are putting the ball in the back of the net a lot. And so let me hang on just a second here. I'm sending an email to Greg Garza as we go. So basically, I'm just thanking Greg for everything and making sure that he gets back here soon, safely, and all of that. So Greg obviously doing stuff with the young enterprising Garzas. So what we may end up doing is taking the 9:30 half hour and turning it into going through everything else and all the news. Okay, so we got about 5 minutes. Let me get into MLS Next Pro really quickly, and because taking time to go into MLS playoffs and Sheffield Wednesday and the other news in the Premier League, that's going to take some time. So let's get into MLS Next Pro really quickly and get you set up for the weekend, because we do have what's going on there with the Final Fours in each. And it is activity going on tomorrow. Philadelphia Union 2 hosting Huntsville City. That's at Subaru Park, 6 o'clock. That's on Season Pass. So tomorrow, 6 o'clock, Season Pass, Eastern Conference Semi, Philadelphia Union 2 and Huntsville City Football Club. Then in the Eastern Conference on Sunday, it's the middle match. All of these are on Season Pass, by the way. Sunday at 7, it is Red Bulls 2 as the top seed. They picked Chicago Fire 2, And so it is Red Bulls 2, Fire 2, Montclair University Soccer Park, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, Sunday on Season Pass. Out west, it is All Caps 2 with St. Louis City 2 hosting at Energizer Park, Loons 2. So they picked Minnesota United 2 in their runaround. So it is St. Louis City 2 hosting Loons 2, 6 o'clock. And then the late game at PayPal Park, it is the Town FC, basically Earthquakes 2, taking on Colorado Rapids 2 at PayPal Park at 9 o'clock. So once again, we'll do it in time order and not just conferences. Tomorrow, once again, the 25th, 6 o'clock, Union 2, Huntsville City Football Club, MLS Season Pass from Subaru Park. Sunday, the other 3, 6 o'clock kick Eastern Time, St. Louis City 2 hosting Loons 2 at Energizer Park, Red Bulls 2 hosting Chicago Fire 2 at 7 o'clock from Montclair State University, and the Town is hosting Rapids 2 at 9 o'clock at PayPal Park. So you're down to your final 8 semifinals on both sides, and we'll continue to follow along there. Huntsville City named a new chief soccer officer, and we are efforting an interview with that as we go. So get the background really quickly, because you know me and everything involving squirrel. It's like, oh, there's something we need to talk about. So yeah, yesterday they did name a new director of soccer operations. Alec Dufty is now in the barn, and he is going to oversee Huntsville City's soccer operations, advancing the club's player development pathway, maintaining the alignment with Nashville, helping to cultivate talent for the next level of professional soccer. So he has worked with Sporting Kansas City 2, Toronto FC 2, and at Florida Gulf Coast University. Mike Jacobs was the one who is credited with the soundbite. The NSC DNA is what they're going to be working on with Alec Dufty, the club's new director of soccer operations. And so he had his professional career with Red Bulls in 2009, AC St. Louis in D2 Pro, returned to Major League Soccer with the Fire before retiring in 2012, collegiately at App State and Evansville, U20 national team camp call-up in 2007, moved into coaching at Florida Gulf Coast, UIC, joined Toronto FC 2 as a keeper coach in 2015, went to Sporting Kansas City 2 in 2016, first team staff the following year to Amelia, keeper of the year 2017, Western Conference final 2018. So Alec Dufty, new director of soccer operations for Huntsville City Football Club, and we are efforting an interview with him now that he will be taking over the reins there in Huntsville when it comes to being the DSO. Okay, so that's your Major League, your MLS Next Pro semifinals. So once again, keep an eye on all of that this weekend. Busy when it comes to the Final Four in those. Let me get you your juice boxes. Let me see if juice boxes actually exist first and foremost. They do. Okay, so we do have juice boxes there. Philadelphia Union 2 is a plus 106. No surprise, is the top seed. They're at home. Huntsville City Football Club a plus 215. Your draw is a plus 237. On Sunday, the other 3 matches, no surprise. All Caps 2, a big favorite at home against Loons 2 at a minus 185. Red Bulls 2, no surprise. Big favorite at a minus 172, hosting Fire 2. And the Town, still favored on the minus side, a minus 130, hosting Rapids 2, who are a plus 268. The draw is a plus 278 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. That's the closest margin. You've got the other 2 matchups on Sunday that have wider margins. And Philadelphia Union 2, it's interesting that they're a plus side favorite at home with Huntsville City Football Club, on the road heading that direction. So that's an interesting one there. That is that's laid out. That's interesting to start the weekend. That Union 2 at home as the top seed, as the 2 seed, they are getting Huntsville City Football Club, and they are a plus side favorite. Red Bulls 2 dominant favorite. Philadelphia Union 2 plus side favorite at a plus 106, and then St. Louis City 2 prohibitive favorite. The Town a favorite, but not necessarily prohibitive, at a minus 130. Okay, so that's the rundown there. Let me get into the news of the news of the morning, and the biggest news of the morning, obviously from overseas, has to do with Sheffield Wednesday, and we've got to keep an eye out for that. Now that they have been placed in administration, they are set for a 12-point deduction. Buckingham Slater et al., once again, placed in administration by the owner, Dafon Chansiri, who has made no friends and is getting no favorites whatsoever. He placed them in administration this morning, local time. Staff have been informed of the situation, and you have failure to pay wages on time in 5 of the last 6 months. And this is going to be one of the first tests for the new regulator overseas. Winding up petition, but uncertain future, but a winding up petition from their version of the IRS, His Majesty's Royalty and Customs, relating to unpaid taxes totaling £1 million, which is basically $1.33 million, now led to Chancery placing the team into administration. Automatic 12-point deduction from the EFL. Wednesday goes to -6 points after 11 matches in the championship season, and you're probably going to get relegated back to League One unless something happens with Henrik Peterson that we don't know about. So that's the big news there. The Supporters Trust described the situation as bittersweet, adding it was, quote, overjoyed to have Dafon Chansiri out of our club for good, end quote. Supporters Trust also said that should a suitable sale, in quotation marks, not be forthcoming, the trust has been working on a fan-led takeover proposal to avoid the club being liquidated. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on that. Greater concern now is over the long-term future. The club's accounts indicate that in the region of £115 million is owed to Chansiri in the form of loans, but a sale process led by his legal team since the end of last year has failed to bring in new ownership. And there have been a couple of instances with the idea that, you know, you're going to sell? No, I want to. But this is the other element with Chansiri. We'll get into it in a second. So Chansiri has been wanting to sell. Team's been on the market. He has wanted a larger amount than probably the team is worth. Understandable when you're an owner, but this is like number that he wants versus number that's reality. Apparently, reality and Dafon Chansiri are not in the same room, and they're not looking at each other and they're going to get out of seats and handshake. Administration process and search for Chansiri's replacement set to be overseen by Manchester-based firm Begbie's Trainer. If that name sounds familiar, they were the ones who were in charge of Wigan's administration, time in administration back in 2020. Wednesday host Oxford United at Hillsborough tomorrow, 3 days after a home loss by Middlesbrough saw a majority of the supporters boycott the fixture. An EFL embargo is in place to limit Wednesday's business after they breached a number of regulations relating to payments to the His Majesty's Royalty and Customs, football creditors, and a rival club. Obviously, the Athletic has reached out to both Sheffield Wednesday and Begbie's Trainer. And you have that's one side of the discussion when it comes to Sheffield Wednesday. You look at it was an inevitable penalty according to the Guardian, confirmed, and the EFL has come out with their official statement. They said that they can confirm it's now received formal notice from that Dafon Chansiri has taken the necessary steps to appoint administrators to both the club and the company which owns the stadium. The losses that Chansiri and Sheffield Wednesday have accrued would be worse if he hadn't sold Hillsborough to himself. Something we're probably going to talk to Jason Stevens about on Monday as we hear from him next Tuesday. Jason was under the weather and he could not visit with us this week, but we've got some stuff to talk about. And there's also that talk that John Texter has been interested in kicking the tires on Sheffield Wednesday as well. No real updates since that first notification there involving Texter. So EFL comes out with a statement. It's a couple sentences long. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy, who has criticized the manner in which Chansiri runs Sheffield Wednesday, has had her say, and she had her 2 sentences. And Nandy's club, Wigan Athletic, was a familiar situation to her. Nandy says situations like this are exactly why this government set up the new independent football regulator. Owners should be good custodians who act with their club's best interest in mind. And clearly, in this instance, that has not been the case. We're working quickly to give the regulator the powers it needs so it can be better secure the future of football clubs and ensure they remain the heart of their communities. So you have you got that right now involving Sheffield Wednesday, and it sucks. But when you have owners like Dafon Chansiri who want £100 million for the club, when folks I think have been offering anywhere between 30 and 40, there is a gulf here. There is a definite gulf. Back in the 2021 season, Wednesday deducted 6 points for breaking EFL's PSR rules, relegated to League One as a result. They won back time into the championship back in 2023. So that's where things are with Sheffield Wednesday, and yes, it sucks. But now it is trying to figure out where they go from here. And is the regulator going to be in charge? Who's going to buy from Defon Chansiri? I mean, when you fail to pay players 5 out of 6 or 5 out of 7 months, I mean, he has shown no interest in wanting to continue to invest. And now the regulator is stepping in, and he has declared that he has put them in administration, filed at the Insolvency and Companies Court, specialist court within the High Court. 3 individuals, Julian Pitts, Paul Stanley, not the KISS guitarist, Chris Wigfield, Ald Begbie's trainer, have been appointed administrators. 5 separate embargoes after failing to pay player wages on time in 5 of the past 7 months. Training facilities were not ready for the preseason, and you'll remember that part of Hillsborough Stadium was closed over safety fears. It hadn't met inspection. It had not cleared inspection. And so Chansiri has been facing protests, and now it's a time that he's put them in administration. Attendance has dropped in his ownership from 26,000 last season to just over 17,000 this year. And so right now, Sheffield Wednesday in administration, 13 points away from the team that is next to last, which is Blackburn. And it's right now 2 teams at 9 points, Oxford United, Sheffield United, Norwich, Blackburn, Sheffield Wednesday. And so that's what you're staring at with a 158-year history right now in administration with Defon Chansiri. EFL's Club Financial Reporting Unit also working closely with Wednesday to manage cash flow and explore ways to ensure fixtures can be fulfilled, including reviewing the playing squad within existing financial restrictions. English Football League said at the beginning of the new season, Chansiri had to continue funding the club to meet their obligations or proceed with selling to a financially capable buyer at fair market value. Of course, what Chansiri thinks fair market value is and what the rest of the educated world and planet think are entirely 2 different things. At one point in the summer, there was no tape to strap up players' ankles and keep up their socks. It was somewhat symbolic, obviously, as a part of the deal, but that's how bad it was at one point. Unpaid staff, unfit training ground, not enough. You don't have tape to keep your socks up. I mean, that's where this got to end a sentence in a preposition. This is where this got to. Club's training base at Middlewood Road, a half mile from the stadium, undergoing renovations, so there are no suitable pitches. Not helped by the summer heat wave, turf getting relayed, meaning players started their preseason off-site. Fitness sessions could be held at a sports club a mile from the training ground on artificial turf that, quote, according to Captain Barry Bannon, modern-day footballers don't get on with. Individual programs for players trained at Burton. Those sessions were not taken by the manager because he was in talks. Danny Roll, remember him? He's now the new head coach at Rangers. But Danny Roll was like, no, I'm still trying to figure something out. And so the U21 coach was the one who was running them through their paces. So then you had to sell players. Basically, if you could either try to sell players to get revenue, or if you don't pay on time in full or for 3 successive months, a player can hand in their notice. So if you haven't paid me for 3 months, I can walk. And that's how Josh Windass ended up at Wrexham. J.G. Gassama ended up at Rangers. Michael Smith ended up in Callum Patterson ended up in other places. 34 goals, and you expected 2 other players to leave. But, yeah, if you don't get paid for 3 months in a row, you can jet, and the team can't do anything about it. That's how bad it got. You didn't have tape to keep socks up. And this was where John Textor came into play. EFL says Chansiri needs either to fund the club or meet their obligations. Believes he intended to sell. Textor had interest in buying Wednesday, having sold the stake in Crystal Palace. He said there haven't been any talks yet over the deal. Sheffield City Council issued a prohibition notice over the North Stand. That's what we were talking about. The North Stand, no one could be in it at the beginning of the year because it hadn't passed safety concerns. And so if you had season tickets and you were in the North Stand, you had to be relocated. And then that was another issue, trying to figure out where you could sit. So that's what Sheffield Wednesday is going on right now. And I couldn't find my Sheffield Wednesday jersey in time this morning So we went with the birthday gentleman, Pele, today. I wanted to wear my Sheffield Wednesday jersey. I'll probably find it by Monday, and we'll wear it on Monday. But, yeah, I mean, there are fans around the planet that deserve a lot more than this. Deserve a lot more than this. And you have geniuses, tongue firmly planted in cheek, like Dave Chansiri, who this was the club was a gift. The money to buy the club was a gift from his parents. How does that work for you traditionally? When you're young and you've got something for the first time, your parents gift you something. What do? Your parents gift you a car when you're in high school, and it's a new car. What do you usually do? 9 times out of 10, if your parents give you a new car in high school, you grind that thing into the ground without any sense of regular maintenance or care. You're smashing on the brakes. You're speeding through traffic. Oh, I need an oil change, and you're like 3,000 miles over. That's what I kind of get the impression this was for Dafon Chansiri when his parents gifted him the money to buy this club. This was his first car. And we see how this turned out. Screwed up the brakes, didn't do regular maintenance, no regular oil changes, tires are bald, and he's wondering why he's skidding when it comes to the rain happening, and he's hydroplaning. Car needs to be washed. Maybe you get it vacuumed on the inside. You're wondering how old the bag of Cheetos is that's underneath the seat. That, to me, is what Dafon Chansiri did with this new car that he was given by his parents. Didn't get regular maintenance, didn't care to, didn't get the tires changed, didn't check the pressure on them, didn't get oil changes, didn't get car washes, anything. He's just rocking out, and he's listening to the radio, and he's smashing on the brakes. Oh, it's a red light, smash. That's what I think has happened here with Dafon Chansiri. And he got tired of the car because the car's not working right. He's like, what's wrong with the brakes? I'm having problems. What's that noise? Well, what's that? What's the noise? Why is it when I get gas, the car knocks and pings? And he's just kind of like, yeah, and just the car sits in the driveway. That's what I think we have with Dafon Chansiri. That's just me. K22 Cliff Jumper, good morning. Welcome. Do not be a stranger. Never ends well for second or third generation wealth. Yeah, no kidding. D. Graham, you were not wrong, sir. The better run if Eagle Holdings is looking to buy the club. They do. And D. Graham, this is what we talked about with the last go round, where John Texter has kicked the can down the road with Cass, $30 million ish. 2 separate judgments at compounding interest. So it's $3 million and 3%, $18 million and 3%, plus the sell-on fee for Thiago Almada. So you're looking at something close to 30. And John Texter's just kicking the can down the road. And I think that, it's obvious that, that he wants to pay immediate bills. And that's the thing, is that I would love to know where in the pantheon and the shopping list of the bills that he's got to pay, where this one is. People at Botafogo who are fans of Botafogo are pissed because they're under embargoes. I'd love to know how the bills are getting paid there. But as Jason Stevens has told us when he has visited with us early in the week, it's because of other interests in a situation like that, why folks continue to give loans to people like John Texter at enormous interest rates to keep them moving. But in this case, I'm thinking that, and I will reach out to him again on Instagram. I will DM him again and find out what the deal is and see if he wants to come on. Because if he wants to come on the morning show, I will blow the whole thing up. Whatever the day is he wants to come in, we'll go as long as he wants or as short as he wants. Because I know a lot of folks have questions. They want to know how he operates the way that he does. And where his sequencing is in his shopping list when it comes to paying his bills. So I'll reach out to him again. I'll DM him again on Instagram, and I'll see if he wants to come on the show. 110M32. I don't think you're going to get a presser today announcing a new coach. Roster decisions, technically you have until the Wednesday before Thanksgiving to announce. If you did not make the postseason, you have until the Wednesday before Thanksgiving to announce who you're keeping and who you're letting go. Toronto made their decisions. We'll talk about that in a second. So roster decisions, you got a while to think about it. And I think that you also want to coordinate that with a new head coach, perhaps, unless you have a thought in mind as to who you want to have around as the administration wants to run things. If you have an idea how you want your team to run in 2026, you might be able to get these decisions in before the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So like I said, you've got space and time, but I don't anticipate anything going on with a new coach today or anything involving roster decisions today. And if it does happen in the mornings, it would happen traditionally either at 10 or 11 o'clock, and we would have that as breaking news. And the intrepid producers that we have here in the Twitch pitch will be keeping an eye on those kinds of things. So I would say not today. I haven't heard anything. I have no knowledge of anything one way or the other where it comes to Atlanta United and their decision-making processes. But I would anticipate at some point that with the decision that was that the statement that was made earlier this week involving Garth Lagerwey, that you're probably going to have some kind of organizational press conference at some point next week or so, where you will have Chris Henderson discussing things from a soccer perspective. Don't know when that is yet, but I would anticipate one next couple of weeks when things, kind of get into a rhythm of the postseason. Ronnie Dyla was picked up after Thanksgiving, right after MLS Cup. I would use that as a marker. Just from history's sake, I would use that as a marker when it comes to naming a coach. And then you coordinate with that individual about the players that you want to bring in to blend with whomever you are keeping. And because remember, at that point in December, you're 6 weeks away from training camp. So use that as a marker. Use MLS Cup as a marker. You don't want to announce something MLS Cup week. You want to be courteous to the event. So after MLS Cup as an idea, just as a baseline. And you're looking at that, I think, when it comes to Atlanta United and KT22 with a follow-up. And this was part of, once again, our conversations that we've had with Jason Stevens, that when folks loan, like when equity funds and private equity, they loan money to individuals at astronomical interest rates, they're looking at the other business interests of that individual that can benefit them in the long term, and they do that to help the sports interests going forward. So that's so keep an eye on that. Whenever you see individuals like this, oh, hi Homer, good to see you. 110M32. So morning Lokeville, and Lokeville's changed the handle. It's you keep an eye on these kinds of things and look at when someone, you're kind of wondering about their finances and you wonder how things go. It's kind of follow the money. In this case, it's follow the other businesses. Look at the rest of the portfolio of that individual and where they can benefit the folks that are lending them this money at these astronomical interest rates. Look at the portfolio. Instead of follow the money, follow the portfolio. So that was the advice that Jason Stevens has given us when we have talked to him about multi-club ownership and had that appearance on Tuesdays here on SDH AM. So that's the golden rule. Follow the portfolio now, not necessarily follow the money. Yes, follow the money, but where it leads, the portfolio. Keep an eye on those things. Let's see who's in this morning. Morning, Alex. Morning, D. Graham. Morning, David. And as always, morning, Homer, and morning, KT22. Morning, Lokeville. Thanks for dropping in. I'm trying to see if I missed anybody, and it looks like we're good. Okay. All right, let's get into, since I mentioned MLS Next Pro and I mentioned Sheffield Wednesday, Ross Smith joining us in about 10 minutes, and we'll talk about Major League Soccer and his busy time and what he's got going on. Premier League. Let's get into that quickly and get into what happened yesterday in Europa League and Europa Conference League. Obviously, we mentioned Danny Roll and what happened yesterday with Rangers. It wasn't all that good. 3-0 loss out of the blocks, and it was not a strong showing. So as we spend 10 minutes in Europe, results yesterday, starting in Europa League, let's see if there were any real surprises on the board. Pilsen a winner over Roma at a plus 830. I'd say that's a surprise. Celta de Vigo late beat Nice at a -130. Celtic 2-1 winner. Feyenoord 3-1 winner at a -200. Freiburg a winner at -200. Another underdog that wanted a +469 was PAOK 4-3 over Lille. And I'm going to go ahead and check. PAOK was, by the way, a +469 on the win. So an over-under at 6.5 would have gotten you at +1750. So if you had predicted shootout and you went to 6.5, it would have been 1750 on the board. You would have made a nice truckload of juice boxes backing up to your dock. Midtjylland shut out Maccabi Tel Aviv 3-0. They were a slight favorite. Malmo and Dinamo Zagreb drew at +233. Nottingham Forest, with a Gibbs-White penalty and a second goal, beat Porto 2-0. Young Boys favored, beat Ludogorets 3-2. Braga 2-0 over Red Star. Braun shut out Rangers 3-0. We mentioned that one. Bologna 2-1 winner over SFCSB. Fenerbahce a winner. Go away Eagles beat Aston Villa at a +640 yesterday, 2-1. Genk and Real Betis a draw. Lyon a favorite, 2-0 over Basel. Ferencváros beat Salzburg at a +206 by the score of 3-2. Now, going into Conference League and the true test of all of our acumen when it comes to clubs and where they're from and who they are and all this. So, no, I don't want. What is this? I don't want Central. It sent me to the Italian version of Odds Portal, which was strange. Okay, so it goes to calcio.it, and I'm like, what? I don't know you. And so results yesterday, 24th, there's one matchup today in Conference League. It is Rijeka and Sparta Prague, and that one is at 10 o'clock. So that's coming up in 8 minutes. Okay. Big win yesterday for Larnaca out of Cyprus. 1-0 win over Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace was booed off the pitch at Selhurst Park at a +1617. Lausanne winner, favored. Lincoln Red Imps, they get the win yesterday. First time ever that the Gibraltar-based club got a win in European competition, winning 2-1 at a +977 over Lech Poznan. Good for y'all. Mainz a winner is a big favorite. Samson Spor shut out Dynamo Kyiv. Celje beat Shamrock Rovers on the plus side. Sigma Olomouc and Rakov Shostakova and Craiova and Noah, they drew. AEK Athens put 6 on Aberdeen. Yeah, I'd love to know what the response was in Aberdeen after AEK Athens put 6 on them at a -303. AZ Alkmaar winner, big favorite. Breidablik and KUPS drew. Drita and Ammonia Cyprus drew. Hacken and Raja Vallecano drew. Fiorentina shut out Rapid Vienna. Legia Warsaw beat Shakhtar Donetsk. And Skandia beat Shelburne, and Strasbourg and Jagiellonia Bialystok tied at 1 at a +355. So the league phase has not been kind to Aberdeen, losing to Shakhtar Donetsk last time out 3-2, and then getting wiped 6-0 by AEK Athens last time out. All right, England Premier League. Let's get into your odds and let you know what's going on today. 3 o'clock. Leeds favored at home against West Ham at a -122. Tomorrow, 4 matches, 2 at 10 o'clock. Chelsea a -263 hosting Sunderland. Early season test for Sunderland in that defense. Newcastle favored at a -156 hosting Fulham at a +438. 12:30 Manchester United. How does Ruben Amorim's team respond at home? Hosting Brighton, who is a perpetual pain in the ass. And I mean that in the most complimentary way possible. Manchester United slight favorite on the minus side at a -101. Brentford and Liverpool, 3 o'clock. Brentford a +318 at the G-Tech. Liverpool a -133. What does the lineup look like? Arne Slot, incredibly positive, and is hoping that Mo Salah will turn things around. He's saying all the right things. Mo Salah, remember, wiped all the Liverpool references off of his social media accounts. I want to say it was off of his Instagram. What does the lineup look like coming out of the midweek? And does Mo Salah get the start? And how motivated is Mo Salah going to Brentford? That's Saturday. Sunday, 5 matches. Arsenal, Crystal Palace. Arsenal, big favorite. Villa, Manchester City. Manchester City at Villa is favored at a -122. What does the lineup look like after their 2-0 win in the midweek? Bournemouth at the Vitality at a -125 hosting Nottingham Forest. And look for that one to be very, very low scoring, considering that Nottingham Forest had 2-0 on in the midweek, and it's Sean Dyche. So think things close to the vest at the Vitality. Other 10 o'clock match on Sunday, Wolves slight favorite hosting Burnley at a -103. Burnley a +315. 12:30 on Sunday afternoon, Everton and Spurs. Everton a favorite on the plus side at Bramley Moore Dock at a plus 137. Spurs are a plus 200. Just to kind of refresh you when it comes to your standings, Arsenal on top. They've won 6 of 8, 3 points clear Manchester City. Liverpool have lost 3 in a row in the Premier League, and they snapped their 4-game losing streak in all comps. 15 points, same number of goal difference, same number of goals scored with Bournemouth. I don't know the last time I had that as a sentence. Liverpool, 5 wins, Bournemouth 4. Chelsea right now is in 5th. They have identical records with Spurs and Sunderland. They have more goals scored than Spurs. That's why they're in 5th, Spurs in 6th, Sunderland is in 7th. 13 points, Palace and Manchester United. Better goal difference to Crystal Palace. That gets us to 10th with Brighton and Aston Villa. Villa has won 3 in a row. Everton is 12th at 11 points. They've hit each column once in their last 3, win, loss, and draw. Brentford is in 13th at 10 points. They've alternated win and loss in their last 4. Newcastle, 14th, 9 points. They've lost 2 of their last 3. Fulham, 15th, 8 points. They've lost 3 in a row, but they still have a better goal difference than Leeds by 2. They have identical records. Burnley's in 17th at 7 points. They snapped a 4-game winless run last time out with a win. Nottingham Forest at 1, 2, and 5. They're at 5 points. They've lost 3 in a row, 4 of 5. West Ham, 1, 1, and 6. 4 points. They've lost 2 in a row, 4 of 5. Wolves have yet to win this year. 0-2 and 6. Scored 5 goals in 8. Given up 16 in 8. Goal difference of minus 11, 2 points. And those 2 points came in 2 of their last 3 matches with draws. So that's where we are with the Premier League heading into the weekend. Yeah, bam, Aberdeen got spanked. And that was kind of being kind about it, the way it happened. Yeah. And, D. Graham, December 18th is Super Draft. Reminder there. There are a bunch of different markers that start with the declaring of the individuals, who you keep and who you're not. And that's coming, like I said, that the latest in that is, once again, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So you keep that date in mind when it comes to all of the teams that are running through Major League Soccer. Year-end roster moves at TFC, that came out this morning. And exercising the contract options on 7, 14 under contract, 21 on the roster. 14 returning, guaranteed for 26. Di Rosario and Gavrin in net, Kapoor, Larea, Monlouis, Adam Perlman on loan, Stefanovic and Henry Wingo on defense. Cifuentes, Simmermancic, Coelho, Mihailovic, Osorio, and forward Cassius Mailula, who is currently on loan. 1-year options, they were exercised on Kobe Franklin, Nixon Gomes, Malik Henry, Kosi Thompson, DeAndre Kerr, Jules Anthony Ville-Saint. In addition, declined options on Sean Johnson. That's news. Option declined on Sean Johnson this morning. Defenders Kevin Long, Raul Petretta, Sigurd Rosted, Nathaniel Edwards, Derek Etienne Jr., Hugo Mbonge, and Charlie Sharp. The club will remain in conversations with select players. Some folks mention who they're in conversations with. Some folks don't. Club exercised the purchase option on Theo Corbeanu. Loan deal for midfielder Maxime Dominguez is going to expire at the end of the calendar year. But early news, like I said, we take the first sentence and compare it to the last one since we don't have that piece of information. Declined option on Sean Johnson. Club remains in conversations with select players. Is Sean Johnson, you would think, a part of that crew? I would imagine so. But interesting, they turn the option down for Sean Johnson. So let's go to our friends at the MLSPA and find out what Sean's number is. Guaranteed compensation, a little over $1 million. Base salary, $621.25. Guaranteed compensation, $1,063,125. So that is, file that one away. File that one away with Sean Johnson. File that one away. So keep an eye on that. But Toronto has announced their moves. St. Louis has announced their moves. Montreal has announced their moves. Bryce Duke is a player that's out there, unless they're having conversations with Bryce that we don't know about. So there are some folks to keep an eye on when it comes to the end of this cycle and getting ready for 2026. A couple that can fit. And remember, where Atlanta United is concerned, you're looking at players that are not your DPs, your heavy money. It is the folks that are, say, 17 to 30 when it comes to the roster names. So there we go. It is 10 o'clock. It is the beginning of hour number 2. It is the beginning of hour number 2, hour number 2, hour number 2. And so what this means is that the last time we had this guy on, he was wandering to practice, and he was doing safe guesting, I believe. We were trying to do safe guesting anyway. And it was an opportunity for us to catch up with Ross Smith as he was heading to Nashville SC practice. We caught up with our buddy Lucas Panzica and got the early idea on Nashville. Ross has been a very, very busy man. He's going to be a very, very busy man. So now we open it up and dig the studio space for Ross Smith. Check this out. Look at that. Oh, I can't hear you, Ross. What's going on? I can't hear you. I have no sound. I'm waiting for an audio thing. Still nothing. Still nothing. I hear nothing. Oh, harumph. Harumph on a Friday. I still have nothing, Ross. I still hear you. I do not hear you at all. I still have nothing. I have nothing. I have nothing from Ross Smith. I have no audio as he's sitting here. He's looking for audio settings and things like that. I love the studio, by the way. We have to get the details in all of the studio space. We have to get the details here. And so Ross is going to be trying to figure things out. All right, let me duck Ross back into other places. So there we go. So yes, you saw what Ross's studio space looks like. And give me a thumbs up when you've done some adjusting. And we'll bring you back in, Ross. So yes, so Ross is going to be joining us. But yeah, last time we had Ross on, he was heading to practice. He and Tony Husband, they were hanging out and they were heading to practice because they got to call a Nashville match. And it was an opportunity for us to catch up with Ross and find out what's going on. And so Ross has been very, very busy. He and Tony called the matchup in Portland, and we'll find out what's going on with Portland. And we'll find out what happened there with that one. And he's also very, very busy this weekend as well. And so we'll catch up with Ross and find out what's going on there. And we will find out what is on his mind when it comes to the opening round of the playoffs. But no, it's been very, very busy time with Ross and everything. Okay, headset back on. And see, he's working with the mic. We'll see what happens here. Let me bring him back in, see if we go. I still have nothing. Talk to me. Nope, nothing. I got nothing. Nuts. Dial in on your phone. You know, dial in on, do the phone. So he'll do the phone thing like he did last time, and we'll do it that way. And he'll take the tour of the studio space, and we'll do it that way. So he can do what he did last time when he was on the phone driving to practice. And so we'll see what happens there. But no, looking forward to Ross. This is Ross's second appearance. He is working toward regular appearance status. And so we are looking at his all of his insights and everything when it comes to what he has seen this season and getting ready for a very, very busy weekend across the board. So we are looking forward to all of the insights that are there involving Ross. Portland RSL. He's got Vancouver and Dallas on Sunday, so we'll get the preview of those, and we'll find out what's on his mind when it comes to all the things that are attached. All right, so let's try it this way, and we bring Ross in this way. What up,
John? Hello, you got me?
Yes, right there. There it is. Yeah,
Thank you so much for your patience. I can't believe the technical difficulty. I got a studio. What did they say? All the gear, no idea, is what they say.
Dude, I'm right there with you. I can definitely relate. The studio, by the way, looks fantastic.
Thank you.
That's some fancy stuff you got going on. I do want to get your intel and your input on the match that you called and the match that you're going to call, and then just some stuff in general when it comes to, because we had Lucas Panzica on to start the show this morning to get some intel on Nashville and Messi and friends. But you were very, very busy calling the West Coast, the Western Conference wildcard game.
Yeah.
Frankly, I didn't know what to expect in this one. Which version of RSL was going to show up, which version of Portland was going to show up, and you got the Portland version where Mora was on a heater and Justin Glad forgot to mark Kamal Miller at the back post.
Right. Yeah. John, I'm with you. I thought it was going to be the other way around. Pablo Mastroeni's side, they were riding a wave of momentum. That was the message going to players, is house money. We're playing with house money, nothing to lose. Let's go for it. And on the other side, it's funny, two teams in a wild card situation where the messaging was completely different. Phil Neville was talking about this being a failure of a season, the fact that they were again playing in the wild card. And you think back to, it was almost the year anniversary of Portland when they got thumped by the Vancouver Whitecaps, and it was worryingly bad last year. And that was starting to trickle in. Is it going to be a repeat? And I couldn't quite believe it, to be honest with you. And I think credit to Phil Neville, the decisions he made, you live and die by it for a manager. Diego Chara turned back the clock. Felipe Mora, as you mentioned, John, turned back the clock. He made those decisions. He chatted to us in the build-up. He said it's a game for the tried and trusted. Man, did they pull it off. And Chara, 39 years old, turns 40 next year. People starting to ask me, just with my past links with the Timbers, any inside Chara retiring. I said he has said he wants to go till 40, which will be April next year.
Okay.
I don't see I don't see an announcement coming. He's a guy that what he says he means, and he wants to go to. And by that performance, RSL, he can go another year.
I look at someone like that, and when he says, I'm going to do something, I want to play till, I want to play till I'm 45. I want to play till I'm 50. Am I going to sit there and stare at him and sit there and go, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. It's something. Now, you know what, John, as well, he knows he doesn't have the legs as well to go off in transition, and he's got to be a lot more clever. I think it's the most clever we've ever seen Diego Chara. He just kept on parking himself in between the center backs, which the center backs would enjoy. And he just saw everything coming. And then Mora, his two goals were classic Mora. 2021, he scored against RSL, and that was when Mora was, that year he scored in the final MLS Cup final, one of the Timbers' greatest memories of in the history of the club. Mora gave him another night. He was sensational.
So then what does this say about RSL and their season coming into the 8-9 and laying a clunker on the road? How would you grade what they did, even though it ended the way that it did?
I think it's tough given the fact that, and both teams had a similar storyline, that their front line was taken out, was traded away or moved on from, and then a new front line came in. Timbers had that in a way. Jonathan Rodriguez has been injured, obviously still with the club. Evander, losing him. Felipe Mora wasn't the same player without those two guys. But it's the same with RSL. I think we almost forget that. They had Gomez, they had Julio, they had Chicho Arango, who's at San Jose now. There was a difference in 27 goals, regular season goals, from last year with RSL to this year. Now, they tried to rectify it during the transfer window. Olatunji came in, scored 2 goals in decision day. It's going to take time, though. It's going to take time. It wasn't a quick fix. And Diego Luna, I think he'd be the first to put up his hand and say, the start of the season was much better for him than the end of the season. And they couldn't quite figure out. They tried different position with him. He played on the right side of a number 10. Wasn't quite there. Gonzalez, he's got the talent, but it didn't come out enough. And so the attack is where the problem really laid for RSL. And, ultimately they didn't have enough, whereas the Timbers, they turned it on when they had to.
So then the Timbers now proceed as the 8. They go down to the Murph Dragon to start their best of 3 against San Diego. There was some talk. So I got that from Adrian Garcia Marquez, and it has stuck with me. So they go to San Diego, and there was a discussion. There was printed word from Tom Bogert about Chucky Lozano and his engine running a little too hot for the liking of everybody there. I mean, you sit there and it's like, well, they actually won without him when he was injured at the beginning of the year. If they're not satisfied with his response inside closed doors, and you sit him or you bring him in and don't give him full minutes, how does San Diego respond? I mean, I'm looking at it like, yeah, they might be okay if it comes to that desperate. But when you look at the 1-8 out west, what are you staring at?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that they have done it with Pellegrino, I'm so impressed with it, with bringing him in from San Jose on loan for next to nothing, and he's gone and he's scored, is it 3 goals in 2 games? Maybe he's on 4, but they've scored 8 goals as a team in the last 2 games without Chucky Lozano. And it's interesting, John, because this isn't the only hiccup that's happened, and we're all wondering, well, we're led to believe it is a heated exchange between player and manager in the locker room. But think of Milan Iloski. Milan Iloski was banging in goals, and then had said the messaging to us was that he wanted to go back to Europe. He was back in Europe more or less just to pack his bags and come back to MLS and Philadelphia. And hearing Milan Alaski, that something went on there. The fact that, and that's his home, San Diego. The fact that he didn't stay there, I thought could be the fall, could be why San Diego, the most points total for an expansion team coming into MLS.
Mhm.
That may be why they don't go and lift the cup this year, because they're missing a 9. Well, now they're missing what do you call it? A number 7, a number 11 on the wing, potentially. But will Pellegrino do enough?
Yeah, you're missing an 18, I guess, in Chucky Lozano with a 7 and an 11.
Yes.
Milan Alaski, to me, that was a head scratcher. They were saying it had to do with money. They couldn't agree on salary figures. He was crushing it at Orange County in USL Championship. I thought it was a great pickup at the time. And then it's like, nah, we're good. And then he comes back, and now he's in Philly. And, guess where Philly is and who's helping that offense. Okay, your matchup that you've got coming up this weekend is yet another one, and it's a chance for FCD. So it's like you're working Vancouver and Dallas, and we've been talking about the game that's happening after you. Now let's talk about your game that's happening now. Vancouver and Dallas, 7:30 Eastern time on Sunday. BC Place, they're opening up the upper tank at BC Place. I'm expecting a hot crowd, a hot environment, and the 7 seed Dallas. I think it might be a long day for them going up here in game number 1 of this series.
Yeah, interesting. They just took down Vancouver up at BC Place, but you have to remember, for those who didn't read the match report or they only saw the score, FC Dallas played a man up for the majority of the match, with Laborda, the center back for Vancouver, being sent off pretty early on. And so, they did well to get the result still, because Vancouver went at them without a striker, without a number 9. Thomas Muller moved into that position. But, and as Muller does, he's still affecting the game all over. But you miss that extra player up front. Now they're going to have to contend with it. The big questions for me, John, with Vancouver, who's it going to be up front? Is Brian White going to be back? We've heard that, he's been pounding the training room. He's been doing whatever he can in the fitness room to get himself sorted. Tristan Blackman, that's been an issue. Center back now, they're depleted. Jesper Sorensen's side. But what Jesper Sorensen has continued to do, despite guys being away on international duty, despite guys being injured, Pedro Vite, they sold to down to Mexico, down to Liga MX, they still get results. And that's the first loss that they've had under Thomas Muller. So I just think it all went FC Dallas's way. And to your point, I think Vancouver now have that extra bit of bit between their teeth, the chip on the shoulder, right? We're going to show you don't come into our house. This place is going to be packed. We're going to turn you over. But on the other side, Eric Quill, what he's done since the midpoint of the season, since Lucho Acosta has gone out the door. Who would have said that if you lose Lucho Acosta, you're actually going to get better? And what he's done, Eric Quill, he's brought the team together. And for me, I don't know about you, there's so many fascinating coaching stories across the league this year. Probably one of the best in terms of different styles, in terms of personalities. Eric Quill has his own unique style, and he went away from what he believed in how the team should play to what they are now, which is more direct, playing into Pedar Musa, and they're the better for it. Eric Quill put aside his ego, and they're coming good. So they're riding a wave of team spirit right now. FC Dallas, similar to Pablo Mastroeni's side, house money. That's a tough opponent to go up against when you have that unity.
Ross Smith hanging out with us here on the morning show from the palatial studio, the palatial studio de Ross Smith. You mentioned Eric Quill and being confident enough in yourself, I guess, to go away from who you are as a coach and change your DNA, at least the team DNA, to get success. How often do we see that? I don't necessarily see someone stepping away from who they are and their absolute DNA and then saying, okay, I get it now. Let's do this, this, and this mid-season to come up with the results that you get.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm racking the brain just real quickly for managers in the past who have done it. Look at Wilfred Nancy. Everybody's saying with his injuries this year, he's got to change his style. Wilfred Nancy's not going to change his style, which has brought him so much success. And now it's got him to this stage, really, without a striker. Managers are steadfast in what they believe in. It got him to to where they are. Other managers have been shown the door because they were too hard-headed about how they need to be. Laurent Courtois couldn't figure things out in Montreal and couldn't get the guys to buy into what he had to do. So to that with Eric Quill, what he's done and realized guys aren't buying in to what we're trying to do. Let's change it up. And I really like the line he said, I had to jump over the fence to their side. You know, not many managers want to do that. He did that, and I think got the respect from the players. There's a great story of him chugging an adult beverage after the game in Vancouver that he pulled out and he threw back, and all the guys cheered. I asked him when I chatted to him yesterday, you know, is there another one in the pocket of your hoodie that you're going to have? And he said, I'm not one for champagne unless you lift the trophy, but there'll be something else. I'm all about celebrating. You know, so he's won the guys over, and he won the guys over when he desperately needed to, because they still had time to change their season, and he did.
I'm wondering if he's got a Muskoka or a Molson tucked away someplace.
I wanted to ask him that, John. I came off chatting with him, and I thought, why didn't I ask him one of those? I love that you know.
Oh,
that.
well, full disclosure, I worked for a handful of years at the Score when they did TV news, and so I was their U.S. correspondent. Whenever anything happened, it was me and Caroline Frolic and Martine Geyer and Greg Sansoni and Tim and Sid and Adnan Verk and Cabby. We were all in the same place working.
Oh my God, with Cabby, I've always wanted to meet Cabby. I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
I'm from Toronto.
The home of the Guelph Storm, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh. John, amazing. I mean, amazing. You know, and whenever, like, Jake Zivin is one of my closest buddies, and whenever and Nat Borchers worked with them, whenever those guys reference a Guelph, I just love how it just rolls off their tongue.
Dude,
so that means a lot.
I mean, I admit it. I'm like a hockey guy and a soccer guy. So you could bury me in the East Coast League, and I would be watching, you know, something there with the Atlanta Glads and, you know, something like, you know, the Alaska Steelheads with Scotty Gomez, and I'd be a happy dude. Give me an obscure game. Look, where is it? Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so that's my hockey night. Where is it? I think it's up in the upper corner out of the frame. Out here on this rack, I have an Oshawa Generals hat that I picked up when all of the furor about John Tavares being an underage player draftee was going on. So I'm like, I've got to go see this. I went to Oshawa to go see him as an Oshawa general.
My gosh.
And I've got the lid. I think, like I said, I think it's out of the corner. So no, you get into talk about the Quebec Major Junior, you get into OHL talk, and we're talking London Knights and Guelph Storm. Dude, I'm there. That's
oh my goodness.
That's an easy thing for me. Now that we've completely derailed the show on a Friday, what a shock. Is Jesper Sorensen your vote for Coach of the Year? And if not, who is it?
It was close. It was almost a flip of the coin. Bradley Carnell.
Okay.
And I've had the argument with others, you know, with, you know, Jesper Sorensen, Mikey Varis having to build from scratch. I actually think I shouldn't say it because I've never been a manager, so I don't know what's more difficult, but also going into a club where the prior manager was so revered and loved, like Jim Curtin, to have to win the guys over and change what they've been doing, you know, a diamond for however many years, and go into your own philosophy and get guys to buy in, where a club has had so much success on the prior manager. Everything Bradley Carnell has done, and given the backstory of St. Louis, he was shown the door, and then, you know, has come back into Philadelphia, has had to pick his ego up off the floor. You know, I think Bradley there's so many managers, though. I mean, we could talk about BJ Callahan as well, being in there, winning US Open Cup. But Jesper Sorensen wasn't far behind my pick for Bradley Carnell.
Okay, like I said, I just wanted to check because you could go a bunch of different directions with it, and I didn't know where your sail was when it came to Lake Ontario, and when you had the boat in the water. A couple of other things, and then we'll let you go because I know you're a very, very busy man.
That's great.
The Miami series, with Messi and Friends and Nashville. And it could be something where literally if this goes for 3, you could be seeing the same guys for 4 straight matches. It's a 4-game series with the Nashville Sounds and, you know, the Indianapolis. It's just like, it's crazy that it worked out that way. But I think that if anybody can pick the lock on Messi and Friends, it's going to be somebody like a BJ Callahan staring at that back line going, yeah, I can run at that. I'm good to go.
Yeah, BJ Callahan's. I live in Nashville, and so I'm able to get down and watch training. He's been very inviting for me to go down and see what he does and how he builds. And to your point, if there's going to be a team, it's them. And the fact that now Miami have turned them over a couple of times, they're carrying that. And I listened to Eddie Tegseth on his press conference yesterday. And for me, if it went outside of goal scores and assists when you're talking about most valuable player, but I'd be going for the Norwegian. They call him the Norwegian nuisance, and for good reason. He John reminds me of Diego Chara when Chara first came into Chara for 15 years, but Tegseth, he's nasty. He's nasty, nips at your ankles. And the fact that Messi scored his first goal in the last game and he went beyond Tegseth, that won't sit well with the Norwegian. Anyways, they've got it, the way that BJ Callahan builds from the back, but is getting the most out of the front as well. Sam Surge, 24 goals. Hani Mukhtar, 16 goals. These guys want to attack this. Everybody wants a shot at Miami. Nashville have it. And I think what we're seeing with these potentially three-game series, Nashville haven't played them, turns into 4, like you said. You're seeing what a manager's made of, because now it's a quick turnaround, and tactically they can dive a little deeper now, and they need to dive deeper because it's not as though they're just seeing the team and they won't see him again for another 3-4 months, and things can change. They're having to turn things around quickly, adjust quickly, and I think you're going to really see the brilliance of BJ Callahan over these next 2-3 games.
All right, last question for you. And it's the hometown question here. Since we're based in Atlanta, I have to ask your thoughts about the dismissal of Ronnie Dyla and the future when it comes to Atlanta United. It's going to be a busy offseason on a bunch of different fronts, on the field and off. You have player decisions to make. It's going to be, basically make sure that your seatbelt is fastened and that your tray tables are in the full upright and locked positions down here.
Yeah. I mean, John, I'd be so interested with you. I mean, I could talk about anything and it'd be really interested to hear what you have to say with it. But certainly with Atlanta, obviously I'm a bit arm's length at it all. But, from the times I've covered Atlanta, there's obviously been a divide between, is the talent real that has come in, and is the coach getting the most out of them? And so was it the right recruitment, or is it the coach? And the Garth Lagerwey, the Chris Henderson, they've won out right now. They believe that what they've brought in should be performing better. The one thing, the conversation with Ronnie Dyla that we always had, it came back to character, and it sounded like something was rotten in the club. We didn't know if it was one particular player, if it was a group of players. You can start to have a guess based on what players they were starting to, or had left the club, they were trying to force out. But I would say Rob Valentino, what he got out of the guys as an interim manager was a lot more than what we saw from MLS Cup winning Ronnie Dyla. So something was up, something had to change, and Ronnie Dyla was the fall guy.
All right. Hit the promo for me. You and Tony are very, very busy, sir. What are you doing for folks that haven't been listening to the first 20 minutes of the segment?
What am I doing?
This weekend with you. What are you calling, sir?
Oh, sorry. I mean, I was about to fill you in on my
What
entire
are you
day.
doing?
I'm jumping on an Air Canada flight heading to the Great White North, Vancouver, to call Game 1 of Vancouver versus FC Dallas. A quick turnaround rematch of a team, the Texas team that took Vancouver down, which not many teams have done.
And you're going to go to Zeller's and get some Aero bars and make sure that you bring them home, right?
I love that you know all this, John. This is amazing. Yes.
I mean, look, I spent my time on King Street, brother, in downtown Toronto. I know that going to Gretzky's, it's entirely too much to pay for steak. And look, give me the 7-Eleven, and the Mountain Dew that they have in Canada is a little more high-powered than what we get here in the States. I know.
John, I got to ask you this. What I'm doing tonight, I'm watching the Blue Jays. I'm getting my girls wearing Blue Jays gear. I'm going to crack open a Labatt's Blue. That is fascinating for me. Just anyways, 32 years later, like the kid in me is coming out.
One of the loudest environments I've ever been witness to, whether it's Joe Carter, whether it's Joey Bats and his home run against Texas. When Sky Dome, it's good. Look, since Rogers ain't paying me, I ain't saying it. It's Sky Dome, always will be. Sky Dome is electric when you get into those environments, and I love that environment up there. I know that you're going up against the Doyers, and as an Angels fan, I'm hoping that the rest of the entire civilized United States is rooting for Toronto going up against the Doyers. That's all I'm saying.
I love it. I got to get you some Blue Jay swag to put in that beautiful studio of yours.
That would be epic. And I will trade you SDH swag for Blue Jay or Guelph Storm swag or whatever you want to get your hands on. Some Dagenham and Redbridge, maybe something like that.
You're amazing.
As always, my friend, you know where the garage door opener is and the keys are under the mat. You know you can crash at any time, my friend. Good to see you.
John, great to see you. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for putting up with me, my technical difficulties at the
start.
I
have them too. It's all good. Go be safe flight and say hi to Tony. We'll catch up with you.
Yeah, we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks,
all
John.
Right, there goes Ross Smith. Time for the hot tag, and it's time to bring in Willie P style. He's hanging out with us in the Willie P studios. And so we get to find out everything going on with Charlotte and what's going on with him. And we go like this. How you doing?
Hey!
There he is. What's going on, brother?
You get to hang out with my very good friends, Brant Bronico, Kerwin Vargas.
Oh, wow.
The inaugural Sugar Skull.
Oh, wow.
And what I'm just calling Mini-Me.
But, dude, how many of those of you do you have, by the way?
That's limited edition one of those. My parents got that for me for my birthday.
Okay.
And when I posted about it, everyone's like, is this a Charlotte FC giveaway? Is it something that we're doing? And I'm like, no, it's just something my parents did because they thought I would love it because I collect bobbleheads. And I mean, I don't know if it's going to be something they do in the future, but like if they do it in the future, there's got to be sound on it, no?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's got to be a sound trigger in there somewhere.
I did I think I can't remember what that week. That was Nashville, the weekend when Charlotte came back from 1 down against Nashville in the 84th minute to win. And I think I did a video with that bobblehead bobbling with the audio underneath of me calling the game-winning goal, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy!" And I'm like, you know, I don't just imagine these ideas. You know, I do have a little bit of a little bit of marketing savvy.
Oh, I mean, but dude, that would be if
and the likeness of it too is like so good. Like whoever they used, they did a fantastic job.
You were not aware that they might have taken like a still of you or got.
They said apparently it took a couple of rounds from what I heard. They said the first one they got back didn't look a darn thing like me, and so they asked for more pictures. And you know, I have my wife somewhat to blame because my wife, who I absolutely love and adore. I don't think she knew she was in on this, but my wife does take a ton of pictures, as anybody's wife I'm sure can attest to. So from that effect, they did have a lot to go off of.
Yes, and I can relate because the boss is one to take pictures, especially when you're not looking.
Sure.
And you sit there because so now I know that I've got to wear a not ready T-shirt or something.
I can say this because they're not in the States right now. It drives her father-in-law nuts, but that's just an aside.
Oh, I mean, seriously, it's one of those where it's like you're burning so much space when it comes to all of the photos that are taken, whether it's you with an animal, whether it's you eating, whether it's cooking. I mean,
well, she sits with them at every Charlotte FC home game, and we have this ritual. We do like a selfie outside, and then she does one with them inside, and she takes a picture of me in the booth. She takes a picture of going down the escalator from the club. I mean, it's a whole thing, and he's just like, "Are we taking another picture? Is this another selfie? Is this another selfie?"
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
My parents love her. I promise. I just,
Oh, look,
my dad just has certain curmudgeonly characteristics.
He reacts.
I loved your talk, by the way. I eavesdropped on your talk with Ross Smith. I loved your talk about John Tavares. Although, again, reminding myself about a weekend coming back from Hilton Head that happened to be NHL free agency day, and the day that Tavares left the Islanders to go to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh,
what a way to ruin an end of vacation for me.
Oh, I mean,
that was awful. My wife and I weren't married at the time, but she got one of her first glimpses of full Will meltdown scenario. It was not great.
Well, full Nelly meltdown usually comes when Florida State is playing football.
Ooh,
and so
are you out on Norvell?
I've been out on Norvell.
Yeah,
brother, I've been out on Norvell for over a year.
I might have unintentionally jinxed them when I said last year that he might be the next coach in the ACC to win a national championship. And after the year they had the year prior, which was, admittedly good. I wasn't, it wasn't a hot take at the time. It is looking every bit the hot take now.
Yeah.
So that's one I got wrong. I'm sorry. My bad.
Yes. The boss, by the way, who has her own fathead.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. As a part of her work, she's a part of the rock group that her branch office has. And
Yes.
so what they do is they have a yearly concert that's a fundraiser. And
that's awesome.
And so you have fatheads produced of all the band members, and you can show support for individual band members and things like that. And so
that's cute. Yeah.
The boss has her own fathead, and she also is in charge of the TV remotes here in the Imitation Palatial Nelson estate. And so when I go downstairs and I know that Florida State is on television, I always try to find something else to do, because that's the one time when she sits there and goes, I like you having this kind of emotion because I rarely see it from you. And most of the time it's just flat out anger. So I'm watching other things or I'm working here, and she has on her phone the remote that can change any of the channels on the TV here in the Imitation Palatial Nelson estate. So she makes a point to change the TV, the big 55 down here in the office, to Florida State football, so she can hear me yelling from the bottom of the estate up to the rest of the house.
She wants proof of life, is what it is. I understand.
She wants proof of yelling in the Carlin 7 is what
we're happy this weekend that my wife and I's our teams are playing at non-conflicting times. Her Hoosiers play at noon, and my Missouri Tigers are at Vandy at 3:30. So we will have not too dissimilar to a couple weeks ago when we were doing a road trip during Indiana's trip to Oregon. We listened basically to 6 or 7, I guess it maybe turned into 7 straight hours of radio broadcast calls from Missouri to Oregon. So that was it was interesting. The Sirius XM got to work out, but that is the power of radio.
Absolutely true.
Endorsement for radio.
And that's why we have you on to discuss the series. And as the series continues to evolve, we will obviously have you on to talk about the series.
Impeccable transition from you. Let's talk soccer.
You got NYC coming, and let's go back to Decision Day and some of the talking points from Decision Day that have stuck with you as you get ready for match number 1 of this best of 3 that is coming up early next week. For those that may not know, it's the Tuesday night game at the Bank, where it is the 4-5, and Charlotte's hosting NYC. Go back to Decision Day for me a little bit.
Yeah, we would have liked it to be tonight. But from what I hear from our friends at I got a mole in the ticket office who says that the ticket sales are doing pretty stout. It's going to be a packed house on Tuesday night, but more on the final game Charlotte FC played in the regular season. I want to give full credit to Philadelphia. They put out a first choice side, but one of the things I said coming in is that I'm wondering if maybe some natural complacency sets in a little bit. I think Philadelphia was definitely in the game in the opening portion, but Charlotte FC kind of hit them with a little bit of a blitzkrieg in the 24th minute with a Wilfred Zaha goal, incredible team goal that was started out by an incredible ball from the back line by Adilson Malanda. Kaelwin Vargas played a great cross into the middle that was dummied by Idan Toklamati, and then Wilfred Zaha made no mistake and knocked it past Andre Blake. 6 minutes later, Harry Toffolo, who was, quite frankly, our new sensational left back that Charlotte FC, I think, got a real gem in. We've not been able to see him in a lot of opportunities because I think they maybe rushed his start to play. He didn't have a real traditional preseason because he came to us on a free. So they tried to rush him into the lineup, and unfortunately, he tugged a bit of a hamstring. So as a result of that, they kind of had to maybe push pause on him. They haven't gotten him back, didn't get him back to full training until the Monday prior to Philadelphia. So he was on a bit of a pitch count. Wanted him to go maybe about an hour just so that he got himself back in the swing of things and got himself back up to match fitness. And he brings something incredibly different. The fact that he can push high. I said this on another pod earlier this week that this is now the Dean Smith blueprint. Fullbacks who press high, midfielders who are disruptive, and a defense that's tough to beat. And that helps everything else kind of open up attack-wise. And it allows you to do a whole many different things. And I think just Toffolo, with the way that he pushed high, got himself across basically across the pitch in the area to find Kevin Vargas, who made a one-touch, incredible finish, impeccable finish, an incredible turnaround for a player who came to us in our inaugural season as a U22 initiative, very, very wet behind the ears, and has completely turned his game into a full-fledged, all-around winger profile. Defense was not part of his game under Miguel Angel Ramirez or Christian Latanzio or on the earlier part of Dean Smith. And I asked Dean about this pointedly. I said, look, what did you do to get Kevin Vargas to defend as well as he has to where it's now a big focal point of what he brings in his locker? And he said, look, I told him simply, it's a situation of motivational play. He was in a basically 1v1 battle with Liel Abada for playing time on the right wing over the course of this season. Abada had it won early, and then Vargas kind of had this little come on, and a lot of it was because of his defensive solidarity. And the other thing was Kerwin had a little bit of a problem of keeping his shot on target. And he said, if you keep your shot down and you defend, you become undroppable. And that's what's happened with this. It obviously leads now to the fact of Liel Abada is probably going to have to start this weekend because of what happened with Wilfred Zaha in the 89th minute of the match. The red card that was taken, the second yellow for the altercation he had with Jesus Bueno. I think it's a blow, but I don't think it's a punitive blow for Charlotte FC going into this game on Tuesday, because I do think, it's very rare you can take a DP out of the lineup and sub them for another one. And I think, too, the addition of Toffolo and these other pieces around Charlotte FC that are playing rather well, I'm not going to sit here and say that Zaha is not a loss, but there have been games this season where Zaha has not necessarily been the focal point or been a passive point, and they've used other ways to try and beat teams. I do think it's a situation where this matchup is even enough to where I think Charlotte FC can still get a positive result without Zaha, particularly because they're in their home building, which they've been very, very good at, as you know, over the course of this season.
I was going to ask about positional gravity, because of when someone like Zaha comes in and you sit there and that's the shiny object, naturally your defense would gravitate toward pinning him down. Who have been the major benefactors when Zaha has been in the lineup to this positional gravity? Who have been those guys that have been open, that have converted those opportunities, whether it's in scoring chance creation or scoring period?
I need to look up this part of the stat because he's the most fouled player in the league at 125, and that's the most fouled player in the history of Major League Soccer.
30% higher than number two.
I'm wondering whether or not I'm trying to figure out how many of those fouls have led to set-piece goals for Charlotte FC, because they scored 8 set-piece goals this season, which is more than they have in any of their particular games. They also, of course, have had him draw penalties, multiple ones that he either finished himself. There was the great moment in the Miami game where he earned a penalty and then gave the ball to Idan Toklamati to finish off Charlotte FC's second ever hat trick. So he definitely has the ability to draw attention and, draw 2 or 3 defenders. He's great at swinging the positional part of the attack to the other side. But I think he's also had a great relationship with Idan Toklamati, and he has gotten this bit of a reputation for playing, the through ball through to Idan and behind. That was when Idan was going very, very well. I think Vargas has benefited a lot from him as well. And I also think, too, the central midfielders, Jabril Gianni and Brandt Bronico, a lot of times as decoys, but they will make positional runs into the box when Zaha has the ball, and not having to account for either of those guys who makes that run has freed up Idan in the area, has freed up Kevin Vargas in the area, or has even freed up Brandt Bronico in the area too. Brandt got an incredible goal back on one of the 9-game winning streak games that got Charlotte FC ahead in a contest. So it is a situation where his presence definitely heightens things for Charlotte FC. They will have to try and find a way to replicate that in the aggregate, as opposed to having him on the pitch. They've had him in games and played well without him, they've had him out of games, I should say, and played well without him. Charlotte, actually, this is way, way long ago, didn't have Zaha on the opening day of the season, played a very, very tough Seattle team, same Seattle team that beat New York head-to-head, by the way, on decision day, and held it was a 1-0 deficit at the time, and ended up getting a result because of a cross in by Kevin Vargas that ended up going off of, I believe, Obed Vargas for an own goal on the opening day of the season. And one of the results that Dean Smith said was one that maybe flattered Charlotte FC, but At this point, you're not looking for flattery. You're just looking for the result. And it might take a bit of an uglier type of game for Charlotte FC to win against New York City. But Dean Smith has shown a propensity, more so than any manager that Charlotte FC has had. He's not really concerned with how it looks. He's just concerned about the end product. And I think it might take that type of output. But Charlotte FC has had a real propensity of scoring team goals. It's not about any one player, I think. And while the Zaha being missing is definitely a talking point, I don't think it's the massive pendulum swinger that, say, people on Apple and the MLS league office have said, completely flips the series to New York City's way.
Mhm.
I think that there's been a lot of there's been a lot of doom tweeting and doom casting when it comes to that particular storyline, but also forgetting the fact that Zaha will be back for game 2 of the series, especially when I think Charlotte FC needs him more so on the baseball stadium at Yankee Stadium.
Yes, yeah. Insert baseball stadium here. Yes, the gnashing of teeth and the wringing of hands, especially in the lead up to games. You have to have things to discuss. Basically, where a dean is concerned, it's basically just to show me the baby, don't tell me about the birth. It's like I just want the end product. I wanted to ask about Toklamati and what it's been like to see his game grow and evolve in confidence this season. I know that he was probably a household name in his own household, and that was about it. And he has evolved into this player to watch that's kind of flown below the radar for those of us outside of Charlotte. What's it been like to see his game grow?
So Charlotte has had this ability, and they've kind of, I don't want to say reinvented the wheel, but they've used the mechanism of their B team, their Crown Legacy team, to kind of funnel in some of these talents. It started with Nikola Petkovic a couple of years ago. They brought him in on a $3 million deal, progressed him through Crown Legacy for a season, got him to the first team last year. He hasn't quite cracked the starting 11, but they've tried it a couple of other times. One of those was Idon Toklamati, and they've got a couple of others in the pipeline. They just promoted Baye Coulibaly, and they've got another great attacking winger from Benin, and Rodolfo Oloko, who will more than likely start the summer, or start the winter, I should say, with the first team in preseason, even though he is on a Crown Legacy deal presently, and will have every opportunity to try and compete for the first team roster. Emmanuel Ochegbu is another one who was referenced by Charlotte FC senior leadership, but Toklamati was brought in on a pretty sizable deal last year, but thought it was the quietest $3 million Charlotte FC's ever spent. Because you look at it and say, okay, this is a guy who's 18, 19 years old. Again, very, very similar to what we looked at when we saw Patrick Agyemang when he came through. Very wet behind the ears, a lot of raw talent, but something that is a bit of moldable clay. I don't know if many Charlotte FC fans even would have thought that by the end of the year, would Idon Toklamati be the starter and Charlotte FC would be in the position that they're in, because of how much hype was around Agyemang. And while I love Pat, and I think he's going to do great things for Derby County, and I hope he does great things beyond that, and even at the U.S. men's national team level, Idon brings something a little bit different. He's a lot more of a technical player. He is a very thankless runner. He's somebody who's not afraid to do the dirty work and open up things for other people. He's also somebody who I think has a real innate knack of being, when he's on the ball, he can receive the ball in the air, he can receive the ball at his feet, and he also can play 1-2s with dudes as well. He's very, very selfless in that fact. He's got an incredible personality. Obviously, one of the, I think, underlying storylines is that he will play with his countryman, Liel Abada, this weekend if Liel does end up getting the start at left wing. And I think those two, when they're on the field together, have a real great symbiotic relationship. They came from the same Israeli team, Maccabi Petah Tikva. They played also with the Israeli national team as well together in the Olympics. It's something where it's that little bit of that chemistry of having played together that kind of continues that connective tissue. And I think, too, we've only scratched the surface of what we can see for him. I think the 11 goals he scored this season, they've all been very big impact goals. I mean, the 3 against Miami, the one I referenced earlier in the game against Nashville, he has been that X factor. And the fact that you have to account for him, you have to account for Zaha when he's in there, and you have to account for Vargas, who is no slouch. It has made Charlotte FC's attack look so impeccable, even when you think about the fact that somebody who's got 22 goal contributions in Pep Biel is on the shelf. The fact that they've been able to get goals while keeping defensive solidarity, I think has been the secret to getting them that 9-game win streak in the end part of it and getting them to the top 4 that they so desperately craved.
So then my last question for you as we lead into game number 1, and we'll be talking to you before game number 2 and game number 3
Sure.
and so on and so forth. What are you the most confident about where Charlotte is concerned heading into this matchup with NYC, and what are you the most concerned about heading into this matchup?
I'm confident they can play well defensively, and that's not disrespecting Alonso Martinez as a striker on New York City. He's incredible. He's impeccable. But the 2 goals he scored against Charlotte FC this season were from the penalty spot. And I think that's something where it might have been, a bit of a wonky game. Toklamati had a stray hand in the box for that second goal. And the first penalty, Dean Smith called it dubious at best. I thought it was a little soft. It was a foul, but I don't know if it was the kind of foul that maybe rose to the level of one you give in the box. It's one of those things where you look at it and say, there were a lot of things about that contest that came in rather wonky. New York was playing very, very well at the time as well, so give them credit for taking advantage. I think New York's kind of come in a bit of a wonky finish, and Charlotte FC is coming off of a very big performance against the Supporter Shield winners. I favor Charlotte in this game. My only question is, will it take penalties, or will they be able to get a touch of class? And I think that's the biggest question mark is there enough class on the field to get the requisite amount of goals to win this game? I don't doubt their defensive solidarity. I think you've got 4 in the back that all have EFL championship or better experience outside of Adilson Malanda, who will be in the EFL championship, maybe even the Premier League by this time next year. So he at least has those bona fides. And you think about Tim Ream, you think about Toffolo and Nathan Byrne, who honestly, if there's an unsung hero on the Charlotte FC team, it's Nathan Byrne, because when he went out, that was kind of the time where things kind of dovetailed downward when Charlotte FC was going in that 10 out of 12 stretch and was struggling to pick up results, struggling to pick up victories. The defensive right back position very much was a turnstile. And I think from that perspective, Charlotte FC suffered greatly. He has come back and completely stabilized things. He's got a great relationship with Malanda on that right side, great relationship with Tim Ream as well. They all know where each other is supposed to be. And I think Kalina has also helped them and bailed them out in situations as well. He's back to that type of level. I think it's an absolute shame that he wasn't at least up as a finalist for Goalkeeper of the Year for the 2nd consecutive year. I think a lot of people have ignored the metrics on him and looked at only the fact that he was benched in May and June. I still think, he had as many clean sheets as he did a year ago. His XG numbers are insane. And yet, we have people like, Matt Freese, Dane Sinclair, and Takakoa who are up there and just kind of like, I thought that he should have deserved to be in that top 3. I voted for him again. I think he's very much an overlooked player right now, and he's making, I think, bigger saves this year than he did at any point last year. I think he made a lot of comfortable saves last year. I think his back line very much helped him. He has made more of the spectacular saves in this run of, I would say, the last 13 games than I think he made it all at any point of last year.
All right, cut the promo for me as we get ready for game 1 early next week. What do we do?
So we will be on a different station than we're usually on for the first 2 games of this series. We'll be on our News Talk station, News Talk 1110 and 99.3 FM, WBT. Getting ready for that one. We'll be on the air at 6 o'clock. We'll have an exclusive interview with Dean Smith that will air at 6:30. It is a longer pregame because of our friends at National doing the game on FS1. So we'll have a chance to have some extended conversation with Dean Smith at 6:30, and then the game at 6:55 for the kick. We'll be on the air 3 o'clock for game 2 a week from tomorrow in I would call it beautiful Yankee Stadium, but it is a baseball field. So there is that. And hopefully we're thinking about going in for a clincher that day, or at least having an opportunity to prevent game number 3 coming our way.
So then this means that 10:30 next Friday, you're coming back to talk about game 2? Maybe.
I can maybe Thursday, depending on this. We will work something out depending on Charlotte FC's training schedule. I will give you a game 2 preview at some point at a time to be determined.
Yes, as always, my friend. Great to see you and your bobblehead, which makes me insanely jealous. But yes, when you get the actual bobblehead, you got to have calls.
Oh yes,
Audio.
and I'll send you one as well.
Absolutely, you're amazing. Be well, my friend. Have a great call. We'll catch up with you on the flip side after game 1.
Thank you, John. Always appreciate your support.
Yeah, and there goes Willie P. So Willie P style on the Twitters. All right, hot tag. And I was kind of delaying, and Bart reminded me that there are things going on that we need to talk about. So we'll kind of filibuster a little bit. So Bart Keeler, Soccer for US POD, is going to wrap up the week. Right now, the Big 55 says we are in the 88th, heading to the 89th minute in the U17s in Morocco, and the U.S. is leading Norway by the score of 5-0. I think that's a good thing. Oh, nuts. The second microphone.
There we go.
There it is. Yes. Okay. So, yes, 5-0 U.S. 89th minute in Morocco. They are rolling, and it's not a shock.
Rolling is a great way to describe this team. They went behind against China early in that match against China, and then, steamrolled the rest of the game. It's been fun to kind of keep track of. I won't say watch intently. 17s are a weird age group because, yes, there's some promising kids, but no one at 17 is fully formed, and they're as a human or as a soccer player. So pump the brakes on total excitement, but enjoy the fun and lots of goals from this women's U17 team, which we could have used last night, John.
I know. We'll be getting into that as we filibuster to the end of the matchup here with Norway. USA Portugal, it was a friendly to celebrate Alex Morgan, and I did mention that Abby Wambach dumped the entire Gatorade cooler of the pink headbands on top of Alex Morgan as a part of her celebration there in suburban Philadelphia. First time ever, I believe, that Portugal has beaten the U.S. women's.
First time they've scored on the U.S. too.
That too. And so it was a 2-1 loss to Portugal. And I believe that the phraseology from Emma Hayes referred to whack-a-mole when it was, she said it was a game of whack-a-mole. And from our friends at The Athletic, quoting her, Bushnell and Anzadeh were there last night. First time in her 17 months, watched her players try to solve problems as individuals rather than the collective that rolled through her first 17 matches beaten and the gold medal run. As one problem after another rose, she felt frustrated, meaning Emma Hayes, not with the result, but with the performance. Quote, I don't think anybody came out with flying colors. I think as a team, we were poor, to be honest with you. She told the players exactly that and more in an animated minutes-long speech on the field after the game, with starters, subs, and staff all huddled in a circle around her. She jabbed her right pointer finger and patted her chest. Rose Lavelle, quote, I think everyone was trying to maybe fix it on their own. Defensively, Hayes said from front to back, we just mistimed everything, end quote. That's not good.
No, I think that was a good, she summarized it well in that first opening stanza where she said that this was the first time they tried to solve things individually instead of as a team. And that was what really stood out to me is outside of the first minute, 34 seconds, John. And there were other good parts in the first half, but it very quickly devolved into, okay, well, I'm going to try to beat this team by myself. Michelle Cooper and Alyssa Thompson, they're great 1v1 players, right? They love a 1v1 matchup. But unfortunately, and Alyssa had a couple of runs like this where, okay, you beat the first one or two, but then Portugal was very good at keeping that back line and swarming to the ball once you got kind of close to the 18. That's when you have to find your teammate. And that's kind of the hard lesson that I'm hoping is learned by our forwards, especially, is it's fine to use your individual talents to beat a player or two, right? And especially if you're Thompson or Cooper, if you've got space in front of you, attack it, right? There was space multiple times against this Portugal back line. A back line that was pretty solid, looked very different in this game, by the way, than it did in the Euros where they were not good. And I think that was also a shock is how good Portugal was. But that was the problem with the attack. Too much individual attempts and not enough playing as a group. Now, this was also one of the first times under, I think it may have been the first time under Emma Hayes, if I'm remembering correctly, that we had both Heaps and Lavelle in the midfield, which for even back when she was Lindsay Horan, that never worked. And I do think that is always the lesson from a U.S. women's national team game is Heaps and Lavelle don't play midfield well together. Poor Sam Coffey was, and she's not the quickest. She was left to put out a lot of fires. And then we go back to the defense, John, and I think we can harp on this a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mess. It was just a mess.
Well, okay. So starting 11, it was a Falantolis Joyce between the sticks, defense, Avery Patterson, Emily Sonnet, Tara McEwen, Emily Fox, midfield 3, Heaps, Coffee, and Lavelle. Forwards to start, Cooper, Macario, and Alyssa Thompson. Subs that came in, Claire Hutton, Lily Johannes, Emma Sears, Yasmin Ryan, and Jaden Shaw. Last time USA met Portugal, goalless draw in the 2023 World Cup. Before that, they won all 10, outscoring Portugal 39-0. They go to East Hartford and play again on Sunday. Wednesday, it's New Zealand in Kansas City at 8. But defense, sir, sorry, I rambled.
Well, David got to it before I could, but yeah, the center back pairing was bad. I think that is the locus of the problem, if you will, is Emily Sonnet. Look, we love to hype up a Georgia soccer player. I just don't think she's a solution anymore for this national team. I don't think she really fits in what we're trying to do. I know she provides some veteran leadership, if you will, but we got Naomi Girma, and I know she's out right now, but we don't need veteran leadership if it's going to just be bad soccer. She is always an agent of chaos, and that works when you have a center back next to her who is solid defensively, solid positionally. Tara McEwen is not it. She's not, at least in my estimation, she's just not up to the international level that we need her to be. Now, could she be if she's playing with who I hope we see next, which is Emily Sams, because I think she's the best center back that we have on this particular roster right now. But I think, John, the lesson from last night truly was that center back pairing wasn't good, and that response was Emma Hayes calling up Eva Gaetino from the U23 camp to be a member of the full senior team. That to me was a signal, and I wouldn't be shocked if Eva and Sams are starting. I expect Sams at least to start on Sunday, because the problem, John, is, and I'm sure Jason has talked about this ad nauseum on your show during Atlanta United's struggles for the past 6 years, despite which, we actually try to pretend it's not been that long. If your center backs are defense as a whole, but if your center backs are unable to defend,
that's
the
not
rest
good.
of the team is going to struggle.
Yeah.
Right. And that kind of was the problem last night, is they weren't solving any of those simple problems. And then therefore we weren't able to then use that to then build out an attack. So it did feel like both center backs defensively were bad. They didn't really contribute a lot to the offensive structure that we want. Emma does like to pass the ball a lot. We went long a lot. Not the worst idea, again, when you have Alyssa Thompson and Katarina Macario is decent at holding the ball up, and Michelle Cooper's fast, but it wasn't a cohesive day from the U.S. And then I think that was really underlined by the fact that you give up 2 goals off corner kicks. Just that to me is a focus thing. I know Jarrett and I have probably talked about this too, is set pieces are about want to, as I think Jarrett's favorite phrase. It's about want to. And a lot of that comes internally, but a lot of that is, and I think it falls to the center backs personally. And as a goalkeeper, I think it falls to center backs more than even the goalkeeper to set the tone of this ball gets cleared. This ball gets cleared, we win it, and we go. And that was not happening last night. It was a bad performance. I think that is very fair to say of the number 2 team in the world. But John, luckily, you turn around, you get to play them again on Sunday.
USA final 5-0 over Norway in Group C.
There we go.
Like I said, that's why I was staring at the Big 55, and I'm sitting there going, okay, 4 minutes added. There's a late corner, and we're north of the 4, and that's why I kept looking over sideways and trying to see.
Yeah, well, of course we had to add stoppage time and stoppage time to the stoppage time, John. Why would you?
Yes.
In a game that's 5-0. It's a refereeing / a soccer pet peeve of mine, by the way. I understand.
Game is done. I get it. I mean,
I understand that you're trying to be fair and we don't want, but y'all, it is damn near impossible to score 5 goals in 5 minutes because we don't add stoppage time for goals scored. We only add it for a celebration. And from the time that you would get the ball out of the net to putting it down, it just wouldn't happen. Anyway,
Right
that's your
now,
cards and calls for the day.
there you go. Three wins on the spin for the U.S. They've scored 13.
Yeah.
They've only given up 2, and they're at 9 points top of the group. China is in the process, I believe, of winning their match as well. So that would put
They
them
should,
at 9. And so it's a 2-0-1 in their first 3. And it's a 4-0 leading Ecuador at 90+5. And so keeping an eye on that with the U17s. And yes, we are efforting the possibility of interviews from Morocco with a couple of local contacts that are playing collegiately and one that is still a high school senior. And so we're keeping an eye on what's going on over there. Yeah. Cambridge High School senior is playing on the Canadian team. And then you have Malcolm, who is at North Carolina, who I believe went to Holy Innocents. So that's what we're chasing.
Okay.
Yeah, we're chasing U17s through U.S. Soccer and the Canadian women's national team. So yes, we are efforting interviews from Morocco when it comes to this tournament. What else has stuck in your mind when it comes to what we are watching with the match last night? Anything else in international play that has stuck in your mind? Because I know that there was talk that Portugal last night had more numbers in the midfield that were creating problems. It was basically 4-on-3 in man-on matchups, and that was creating issues. So you couldn't get all of the work that you're anticipating traditionally from the U.S. in the midfield because it was a numerical superiority advantage by the Portuguese.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things that Emma highlighted in her press conference was that she was frustrated that the team did not respond to Portugal's, I don't even want to say formation change, but kind of formation change, right? They definitely added a player into that midfield. And I think that is, again, I go back and forth on this because I think Emma is at the stage where she wants them to solve the problems on the field.
Right.
She is not going to sit on the touchline and say, excuse my bad English accent, "You've got 3," as my coach in college used to say. Right. And she speaks more eloquently than that. But if you've got 3 in the midfield in a triangular formation of sorts versus the 4, there are solutions there. Because the 4, while they may, most of the time, it's either in a box or it's in a somewhat flattish line, right? So with 3v4, there are solutions there. It doesn't always have to be you pull in a player. It can be a combination play. It can be a winger popping into a space as opposed to, instead of just fully pulling into another midfielder. So I think Emma wants her team out there right now to solve those problems because she's aware that, yes, she probably could sit there and tactically with her coaches on the iPad go, okay, well, they're doing this and when you got to do this and this, cue to the video of Ruben Amorin with the, little pegs on a magnet board.
There you go.
But she has probably covered something like this in training of some sort in their whiteboard sessions. Probably not film session, but definitely a whiteboard session. And she was hoping they would figure it out. Now, should Emma maybe have provided them that solution after too long of them not getting it? Maybe. I don't really know what that communication was, but that is mostly on the players. And again, our midfield trio of Sam Coffey, Lindsay Heaps, and Rose Lavelle, you expect them to solve that.
Yeah.
Now, is the problem there that, again, maybe Alyssa Thompson or Michelle Cooper or even Kat Macario, who, again, you would expect to be able to help solve this, didn't really pick up on the cue of like, hey, we need to move back into a different position. We just need to move into a different spot on the field. I don't know. But I think that's, again, the big takeaway is I don't want to say you got beat tactically because you didn't respond tactically. So it's not like your tactics that you tried were bad.
You
right?
just you accepted what they were doing and did not respond.
Right. And so we decided, well, we'll just kick it long, which again, not the worst idea when you have Thompson and Cooper on your wings, but you needed to add someone. So is it maybe an Emily Fox stepping higher or stepping narrow? I think she's good enough to do it. Or Avery Patterson, who I've been liking as a fullback. It's no one helped solve the problem. Again, it's not necessarily adding another midfielder. It's just having someone from a peripheral maybe position, stepping inside into a pocket of space. Because again, and I think Portugal mostly was in a more of a line more than a box most of the time.
Mhm.
You can find holes that you're still in your normal position. You do not have to move positions. And again, you had your three best midfielders out there,
Mhm.
and you didn't get the job done. That's concerning.
Next one, once again, Sunday in East Hartford, 4 o'clock, and that means that you'll be back with us again 10 o'clock Monday morning to break everything.
We'll see, John. I'm going to hang up with you here shortly and drive to St. Augustine, Florida, where I
Oh.
will be officiating the wedding of my little brother.
Oh.
That happens Sunday, and we're driving back Monday. So I am
Oh.
bringing the laptop and such,
Okay.
but we will see.
But yeah, well, maybe you could just show us the Atlantic behind you or something on
I
Monday.
don't know if I don't think my hotel room looks at the Atlantic,
Oh.
unfortunately. I do get a balcony, but I think it's going
We've seen, look,
north.
brother,
We'll see.
we've seen hotels and hotel balconies. It's all good. Just
Yeah,
be
we'll
safe
see.
driving
Yeah,
down,
you don't.
and a fantastic day for the family. It's very cool that you are the efficient for this.
Yeah, it was. I'm looking forward to it. My first time officiating a wedding ceremony, so
Very
you know.
cool. So that is absolutely awesome. Obviously, the best to everyone that will be there under that same roof as you are officiating. And are you taking cards and whistles with you since you're officiating?
No, no. Unfortunately, my brother was. Yeah. David brought up. I'll broadcast live from Bucky's. There you go.
See, David's got the idea. Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, my brother and them, they're all baseball players, so they wouldn't. But funnily enough, John, I will say this. So my father
Yeah.
was a basketball referee and a softball umpire. Did high school for a very long time.
Right.
Obviously, I referee soccer. All three of my younger brothers at some point have umpired baseball. So it definitely is a family business.
Yes. So maybe you should just take a chest protector because you never know what happens when they sit
I'll
there.
bring a little
Oh,
brush
a little whisk
and
broom.
pretend to brush home plate as they step up to
See,
it.
that'd
That
be
might be
great.
funny.
You get the whisk broom. You sit there and you just kind of do that when you make sure
Yeah.
the space is cleared for the happy couple. Fantastic. Once again, just be safe. Enjoy. We expect a whole lot of pictures on your social, and we anticipate
Yeah.
seeing you from inside a hotel room at some point on Monday.
And I don't have to think about a football team this weekend, John. It's going to be great.
That is absolutely true. Be safe, my friend. Have fun.
Bye.
All right, there goes Bart. All right, so let's wrap up with some news and things and let you know what else is going on. We got to do what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We'll get to that in a sec. Okay, talked about the Premier League, talked about the odds, talked about the juice boxes there. Now, finalists have been announced for Major League Soccer and the year-end awards here in 2025. The MVP award: Bouanga, Dreyer, Evander, Messi, and Surridge. Coach of the Year: Carnell, Sorensen, Mikey Veras. Audi Goals Drive Progress Impact Award. So I'm guessing that this is somebody who is the straw that stirs the drink. It's either Hollingshead, Diego Luna, or Brad Stuver. Drive Progress Impact Award or Impact in the Community. Comeback Player of the Year, Lawrence Sonali from Houston. Nick Hagland from FC Cincinnati or Richie Larea. Defender of the Year, Blackman, Glesnes, and Kai Wagner. Do Glesnes and Wagner cancel each other out? Does it go to Tristan Blackman? Keeper of the Year, Freeze, St. Clair, and Takaoka. Newcomer of the Year, is it Dreyer, Sonny, or Zinkernagel? Young Player of the Year, Alex Freeman, Diego Luna, Obed Vargas. And you can also, if you are one of us non-voting types from the media, you can go and vote for Goal of the Year, Save of the Year, and that closes on Monday the 27th. Voting opened on Monday and closes today. So if you are interested in voting, go to MLSsoccer.com, vote for Goal of the Year and Save of the Year. Those are going to be announced on Monday. Ref of the Year and AR of the Year, that's going to be announced today, and the best 11 revealed at a later date. So did we get an announcement yet from did we get an announcement on Ref and AR of the Year? Did we? Drew Fisher, as the Ref of the Year. Corey Richardson gets AR of the Year. So it is Drew Fisher, who I swear to God looks like Bob Davey, and Corey Richardson named AR of the Year. So those are the two. Those are your nominees for Ref of the Year: Drew Fisher, AR of the Year, Corey Richardson, and starting 11s and things that gets picked up in other places. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that we missed along the way, and I'm looking at my notes and my sheet as well. Yeah. Well, we got to do what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Okay. So here's the rundown of everything that is going on today, and then what is going on Saturday, just to kind of get you started. And Paul Kennedy over at Soccer America has the MLS attendance figures averaging just under 22,000, down 5% from their average last year, and down 123 fans on average from 2023. So that's the note on attendance figures, down 5%. And you've got all these competitions and schedules and things that you've got to navigate as well. So tonight, round one, FS1, 8:25, Messi and Friends in Nashville. Once again, we went through the juice boxes and that. ESPN Deportes has La Liga, Real Sociedad, Sevilla at 3. The Fox Deportes has Serie A at 2:45, Milan and Pisa, plus Messi and Friends in Nashville SC. Goal TV and our buddy Nino Torres, Defensor and Torque in Uruguay at 6:30. Portuguese Premier at 3:15, Alverca and Gil Vicente. Apple TV and Season Pass. And remember, you don't have to have the subscription to Plus to get in. You can be just normal Apple TV and Season Pass for Messi and Friends in Nashville. A-League is going on. Bam's got to be happy about that on the Plus. Newcastle and Melbourne was at 4:30 this morning. Auckland, Western Sydney's at noon. Melbourne City and Perth is at 2. Bundesliga on the Plus at 2:20. Werder Bremen, Union Berlin, Bundesliga B is at 12:30 and 2:20, where you can watch either Greuther Fürth and Karlsruhe or Schalke and Darmstadt. La Liga's at 3, USL Championship at 9 o'clock, New Mexico United and Rhode Island FC as we get ready for the final week of the regular season. And we'll have Kaler on next week to talk about USL Championship League One, and Gabe Schrei will be on 10:30 to talk about League One and MLS Next Pro. Paramount Plus, Preston North End Sheffield United is at 3. And Milan and Pisa is at 2:45. Women, we had the USA-Norway match on the Big 55 on FS2. CONMEBOL Nations League on Fox Soccer Plus. Women's Nations League doubleheader starting in about a half hour. Germany and France, Spain and Sweden on Golazo Network, and same on Paramount Plus. So Saturday, here's what you can watch. Times you'll have to find out for yourself because there's a lot. CBS Sports Network, doubleheader. Coventry City, Watford at 7:30. Middlesbrough, Wrexham's at 10. Okay, so I fibbed. Liga MX on CBS Sports Network. Cruz Azul Monterrey at 11:05. Manchester United, Brighton is on NBC. Newcastle, Fulham, Brentford, Liverpool are on USA. Quadruple header, ESPN Deportes on La Liga. Fox Deportes triple header, Serie A. Telemundo, Sábado Futbolero. It is Tigres and Tijuana and Xolos at 7. And then you've got Chivas and Atlas at 8:07. TUDN is Charleston and Birmingham at 5, USL Championship, Liga MX. León, Pumas, Cruz Azul, Monterrey on their doubleheader. Universo, triple header in the Premier League. Chivas and Atlas at 8:07. Univision, simulcasting León and Pumas, Cruz Azul, and Monterrey. ESPN Plus, A-League, La Liga, Bundesliga, Bundesliga B, USL Championship, USL League One, 8 matches starting at 7:30 in USL and USL Championship. And in League One, you have 6 matches, 7 matches going on in League One, 5, 6, and 5 at 7 o'clock. Fox Soccer Plus Serie B doubleheader, and the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote. Golazo Network doubleheader in the Championship, and then a doubleheader in USL Championship. Paramount Plus, 7 matches English Championship, 4 in Serie A, 2 USL Championships, 2 in the Premier League on Peacock, and Liga MX at 8:07. Women, FS2, U17s, Ivory Coast and Spain at 9 o'clock. Golazo, the friendly with England and Brazil at 12:30. Simulcast on Paramount Plus. That gets you through your Saturday. Wow. Okay. I got a Premier League. Okay. I think we got it. All right. So once again, that's another full week here at SDH AM. Thanks to Bart. Thanks to Willie P. Thanks to Ross Smith. And thanks to Lucas Panzica to bring us through a Friday. Thanks to all the guests this week that we have had. This weekend, the episode of The Roots, powered by our friends at NoFo Brewing. Jacob Crumley is going to be the focus from the U.S. CP men's national team after they got the gold medal, winning the Copa America, the first ever win in club history in the modern era. So big one for them. Jacob Crumley is going to be the interview that's going to be on The Roots. Also with Red Clay Soccer Report, we'll take you through the 7 conferences, let you know what's going on. Truett McConnell has clinched a conference championship on the women's side, nationally ranked. I think they're number 11 in NAI. They clinched the AAC conference championship regular season. So congrats to everybody up north. Thanks to Nino. Thanks to Nico. Thanks to Stuart Sharp. Thanks to Dylan Butler. Thanks to Tyler Pilgrim. And let's see. Thanks to KCD. And thanks to Mike Gramajo from West TV in Orlando. And thanks to the internet for crapping out on Monday so we couldn't do a show. So as always, it's another great week here at SDH AM. We'll come back on Monday and we'll do it all again. Since it is the last show of the week, we got to go here. Mucha Plati, all play it safe. We'll be back at it again over the weekend. Set your notifications for the programming that we release. And back at it again here 9:05 Monday morning as we look back at the weekend and get you squared away with everything with Abe Gordon, with Bart, and Gabe Schrei. Mucha Plati, all play it safe. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. We'll catch up with you Monday, everybody.
The war was on. The keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress